Morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexiot's here. We just beat the Miami Heat yesterday. It's Thursday, and it was a great win. So now we're up 2-1 in the season series so far with the Miami Heat. It was fun to see Kyle. Very fun. All kinds of smiles and silliness and talking smack to Pascal from the on the bench, and just good fun stuff. Having Kyle Lowry around in the building, and they didn't win, so that was nice. It's better than the return game in April because we got to have all the fun of Kyle being there and enjoying himself, and the Raptors still won, which wasn't the case in April with his return game then. So let's just get right in the comments so we know what to talk about this morning. Let's see. Monique is saying, "Good morning, everyone. That second half had me on the edge. Knew it was going to be a bit nitpicky game, such as a great win, though. Thank you, Sue, once again. Let's go Raptors." Yes, Monique, thanks for going to the game and meeting up with Sue and taking that picture and sending it to me. That's the thumbnail for today. That is Superfan Monique Lawrence and Sue from the stream. At the game, they got together and got a picture together. Great picture, y'all, and good job cheering our team towards victory. Yes. Good morning, freaks, from Andrew Bishop. Good to see Andrew Bishop. A great morning to be a Raptors fan. Beating the Miami Heat shorthanded in a game that was actually very interesting in a lot of different ways. We'll have to talk about every aspect for sure. Shane, Monique is saying, "I'm here super early. Pray for Delano." Oh my God. Yeah, we hate seeing each game. It seems like we have a player that gets hurt and it has to leave. Was Otto the game before? In this game, it was Delano. And the thing that Nick said after the game, I don't like. He said is pretty bad. That's what he said in his interview. He said the first thing I've heard about Delano's ankle is it's pretty bad. I don't like hearing that, and especially if Nick's divulging it to the press right away, saying, "Look, it's not good. It's pretty bad." That's the way he described it. And he's been poo-pooing, Scottie Barnes having an injury all week. And guess what? They asked Scottie last night in his interview, "Are you hurt? How's your ankle feeling?" He says, all right, let me quote it because Josh Lewinberg has the exact quote posted. He said, they asked him, "Has Barnes' ankle been bothering him?" Scottie says, "No, not at all." That is a direct quote from Scottie's voice, his throat, his mouth, his body, his brain sending a message out his mouth saying, "No, it is not. I do not have an issue." It may look like he's hobbling here and there. Maybe he is hobbling just in that second, just because it's just for a second. It's a little like, ooh, but overall, it's okay. It's weird. Like we said here before, he's very expressive with his face. So maybe that sometimes he has a slight discomfort, and we are very much reading into it, magnified by times 10, something like that. So it really is a grind, the NBA season, and there's going to be little nagging injuries and little nagging things that are going to bug guys as they go on. And now him being a 2-year vet, he's got to go in there and get beat up a little bit. I mean, maybe last year he was shying away from contact to a degree, doing what was easy, where the water would flow easy to. And now he's kind of trying to make the water flow to harder places with a little bit more difficult kind of guiding it to there. So that may be part of it also, that he wasn't taking as much contact from like trying to force his offense on people in the paint, that his body as a byproduct is a little beat up, but not too bad, and not to the amount that he wants to admit it or say to anyone that it is a problem or anything. It probably isn't a problem. He's probably fine. And I just got to take him at his word. He says he's not beat up. He's fine. Nothing's wrong. It may look different at times on the court. It may look like his ankle's a little weird and he's walking a little funny, but he says he's fine. Oh my gosh. All right. So Shane is here. Let's see. Shane is saying, "Great pick, Mo and Sue. 3 stars." Nice. All right. The 3 stars are Monique, Sue, and the picture of them. Yeah, I like it. Mike is here. Good to see Logical Raptors Fanatic. Go check out his YouTube channel. Mo and Sue thumbnail. Eyes looking at it. Yeah. So listen, if any of you Raptor freaks go to the games live, let's just make this a thing. If any of y'all go to the games, like Nacho the Nacho was in Detroit on Monday night, You send me a picture of you guys at the game in the game setting. I will use y'all as the thumbnail for the next day. This is an open standing to any Raptor freaks that go to the games. Now, if you go to the home game here in Toronto, there may be a few of them, and I may not be able to post all of them. But definitely, if you're away, like somebody like Nako going to the Detroit game, send me that picture because I want to put y'all on blast if you want to. If you don't want to have your picture shown, that's fine too. And don't do it then. But if you are a regular on our chat and you want to do that, like Tom Duke and Joseph Starks have appeared in the thumbnail before, just you go right ahead, send it to me, and I will post it. You can get into contact with me on here in a comment or something if you're not in contact with me on Facebook, and we'll use it for the thumbnail for the stream. Yes, it's so nice to see Mo and Sue, two friendly faces in the stream picture for today. Yes. All right. Yeah, no problem, Monique. Thank you for you guys sending the picture and taking it. And I hope you had a wonderful time last night. I'm sure you did. It was a very enjoyable game. Tom Duke is saying amazing photo, awesome photo. Yeah, I like it too, Tom. Good morning, winning. Toronto Raptors 2023, Toronto Raptors 2023 NBA champions. I have said my Raptors mantra 100 times this morning. This is good. Tom, I don't want to bust your chops. We're all in the Raptors Tonight live chat last night. Yeah, I made it to the live chat last night. It was just kind of fun to be in there and see. I was amazed how many of y'all were in there. It was just so awesome. It was like I come in there and there's Scott B, Seymour, Tom Duke. Everybody's in there from this chat. CC. And I'm like, wow, the Raptorfreak crew is really rolling strong at Raptors Tonight live chat. And represent, y'all. Represent. It was fun to be in there and kind of bust their chops during it. And, Randy probably saw our comments and stuff. I didn't realize he's going to read comments from there. If you put question, he'll actually read it on the show. So, hey, they're getting a little morphed into my format on their show now, where they're taking live questions from the chat. I like that, Randy. You go, Randy Urban and the Raptors Tonight crew. Always entertaining. Alvin is always busting your balls. Although, Alvin, you sounded like you might be busting something under the table last night. Nah, that's gross. I shouldn't say that. It's his knee, y'all. His knee doesn't feel good. He has to rub his knee because it's a little cold because it's snowing now. There's a little bit of winter air out there. And, those old joints as a former NBA player, maybe he just needs to rub the knee a little bit. Matt Devlin, get your mind out of the gutter. Once again, this is another Ron Jeremy moment in the broadcast booth last night with Alvin describing that he can't use both of his hands to do something because he's using the other one underneath the table. And yeah, that sounded exactly like how I just said it on the broadcast too. And I was like, is this family friendly? And then he covered it up. He's like, oh yeah, it's my knee. It's my knee. I got to rub my knee. The announcers are so crazy sometimes for the Raptors. They're so crazy between Jack Armstrong, Alvin Williams, and Matt Devlin. They are so funny sometimes. Oh my gosh. All right, let's keep going with the comments. Let's see what else y'all are saying. Tom's also saying buffet was open last night with all the Miami turnovers and Raptors rebounds. Dinner was great. Tom Duke had a great dinner last night, watching a great feast of the Raptors beating the Miami Heat. Listen, yesterday I said they ain't got no size, they ain't got no bench. And that's what we saw last night. In fact, you look over at the Miami bench at times in the game last night, and you see three guys over there dressed. There was like nobody for them. And I was wondering about their size issue going in the game. I'm like, well, if Adebayo's not going to play, does that mean Dedmon's going to start? Well, Dedmon did play. And he died at one point during the game. Did y'all notice that? This is really weird. He lived up his name. I guess it was a nut shot. That's why. But Dedmon, laying on the floor, face down for a little bit there. Very weird. But I was like, who are they going to start? Are they going to start Duncan Robinson at center? Maybe. Are they going to just go small and just have that small ball lineup that they did finish the game with last night? This small ball lineup, it's like Lowry, Butler, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, Max Strus. Those five guys are out there running around instead of having one big guy, because they did start a big, and it was the guy we hadn't seen yet this year. It was the rookie Jovic, and he came out and he was actually pretty good right away. He was very aggressive. and he was doing good things for them. And I was like, oh crap, I don't want this to be the narrative of the game. That Miami Heat rookie Nikola Jovic comes out and schools the Raptors in Bam Adebayo's absence. I was like, no, I don't want this kind of shit. What are y'all fucking doing out here? You're gonna let this rookie kid Jovic start schooling you right at the beginning of the game? It's like, have some pride, Raptors. Well, this is what pride is at the end of the game. By the end of the game, we had 58 points in the paint. They had 42, and we had 42 rebounds, and they had 23. We almost doubled them up on rebounds last night, and that really is a huge stat of the game last night. This is something that Eric Spoelstra was so upset about after the game in his press conference. He was like, we cannot rebound, have this much of a difference of rebounding and win a game. Then the Raptors absolutely destroyed them on the boards. That we were just all over the place. And this is the crazy thing. They shot really well last night. This is the thing. Miami and Chicago as teams can shoot really high percentage. Like they could shoot 55% from the field. They could shoot almost 40% from 3-pointers, and they can shoot like well over 85% at the free throw line, and they can still lose. Now, why is that? Why is it that the Bulls with DeRozan and the Heat with Lowry, why is this phenomenon happening where they could be absolutely badasses with the shooting and it's all real good and all this stuff? Why? How can they lose to a team like the Raptors if they shoot so perfectly? Well, it's because we garner more field goal attempts by the end of the game once again. And that was a huge part of it. We got 20 more shots collectively more than them, and that's led to 8 more field goals made by the Raptors. Now, it didn't matter that they made almost twice as many 3-pointers as us. It didn't matter that in the beginning of the game, the referees were very much doing a weird hit job, because it was weird. We came into the game, and right away, we get some turnover calls from travels. Once again, this travel call is getting called like crazy right now. It's like the referees are being directed to stop all the unnecessary traveling. The real traveling that these guys have been doing for years is now all of a sudden they got to train themselves not to do it. But at least they're calling these travel calls on both sides of the court. And in the beginning, it seemed like they were really unfairly biased against us. The refs were really, really awful to us in the first quarter. And it sucked because I was like, oh man, is this going to be really 8 versus 5? Because it felt like it early. We knew John Goebbels from Miami and went to Florida International University and is very much a Miami dude. And that's fishy as fuck. We don't like this, that like the referee, the head ref is from the city of the visitors team. It's like never kind of a good look in some ways. Well, I have to give Goebbels some credit. He actually was pretty down the line, because by the end of the game, he had pissed off Miami fans just as much as he had pissed off Toronto fans. And that's the thing. If you're going to piss us off, you better piss off the other team's fans by the end of the game too, with your calls, your travels, and all this stuff. And he very much did. In fact, this is what the refs do to muddle it, to make it seem very, very even in their calls. It isn't even. There's always a little bit of a bias one way or the other. But it's so hard to keep track when they call so many travels, so many different kind of calls like that. And then you're kind of like keeping score in your head. I'm like, well, they're kind of favoring Miami early, but now it seems like they're very much overboard favoring us. So it's like, did they really screw us over, or did they screw Miami more over than us? Did they have a gripe, or was it very even? And I like to think that it was pretty even last night overall. In the beginning, it was not. And I was very much setting up for it was a ref hit job. They're manipulating the game with travel calls, all kinds of travel calls. And in fact, in particular, they really kind of handcuffed Delano Banton last night with the travel calls right away. But this is something they're going to do. We just got to adjust to it and be ready for this. It's crazy, the travel calls, when they're calling them on Lowry. Lowry's been in this league for so long. And when they call a travel on him, he probably has a pretty funny argument for the referee when that happens and what he says to the refs after a travel call on him. But that's just how it is. I mean, if Lowry's going to be getting travel calls and he's such a vet and so savvy, yeah, they're going to give him to anybody. So it very, very was a factor in the game. And there were momentum killers at times, like I've described in the past, is like watch for momentum killers. There were there. But it really was kind of like such a ugly, crazy, dirty game in all kinds of different ways that the referees were kind of even by the end of the game. I mean, Miami fans pretty pissed, and they think they got screwed last night. They really do. I think that it was pretty even. But they probably tell you that they totally got screwed over by the refs in their content today. Like Heat Freak is saying that today. Trust me. All right, let's keep going. Monique is good, comfortable. Oh yeah, I read that one. Evelyn saying, "What a great team, a powerhouse." This is so true. We are a powerhouse deep into our bench. That they are missing a bunch of guys on their side. Miami, we're missing a bunch of guys. Well, our bench looked fine. Our bench came out. Bench looked very capable. We saw some really great contributions by guys like Hernan Gomez, who didn't even score. He kind of had like that Thad Young line the other day where he was really, really good, had a plus 17. He was really good on defense. He was moving around. He was helping up, keeping the ball alive with offense, with the rebounds. And then also he got in the passing lane and stole the ball at one point. He plays in a European style, and it's really weird to watch Hernan Gomez out there moving off the ball because he really is cutting around like he's on the Spanish national team. And it really is a good benefit because it does all kinds of interesting things. And one of the things that Nick Nurse really likes about Juancho Hernan Gomez is his energy in just chasing after the ball and on defense. Like you see how quick he closes out, and he's just flying around, just trying to do the rotations of the defense as best as he can. And he's super effective because part of the thing about Juancho that's so great is he's a great combination of height and some sort of quickness to be able to move and get across real quick and have that a little bit of more height. Like he's closer to 7 foot than a lot of guys on the team. That's really helpful. And that he had a 0 game, but he was the highest plus minus on the team. And that says something about Juancho Hernan Gomez. And he signifies the strength of our bench, the talent of our bench, the quality of the talent of our bench. He's like a blue chipper Eurobasket champion. And he's like a dude on our pecking order that's right around 10 or 11 in the rotation as far as like the dudes that we're calling on and bring in. And we have that kind of quality at that level. I think that Miami would have loved to have Juancho Hernan Gomez on their roster last night, and he may have possibly started for them instead of a young rookie named Jovic. So, that's how much of a difference it is. We have so many injuries, and we continue to get them, and we still have such quality and a powerhouse of a bench. We really do. Add in the great stuff from Koloko, the little bit of Khem Birch last night, and then obviously the genius of Chris Boucher off the bench. In fact, I have some interesting Chris Boucher stats for you guys. Michael Grange is reporting, he retweeted a guy named Chris Black who's saying the most double-doubles off the bench in Raptors franchise history. Number 1 on that list is Chris Boucher. He has 25 double-doubles off the bench. The next highest person is Danielle Marshall with 12. So that is impressive that Chris Boucher has the most double-doubles off the bench in Raptors franchise history. So you go, Chris Boucher. You're a badass, and you're one of my 3 stars today from the game for sure. Monique is saying my 3 stars are Chris, Fred, and Thad. That's pretty good. That's not too. That actually, you have 2 different ones than I have. So you have Fred, Chris, and Thad. That's pretty good. For me, I have to put OG in that first star. I'm sorry. This guy continues to show that he is a superstar in this league. Forget about just a star. Forget about just a defensive player. This man's a superstar. It's like Charles Barkley said some shit this summer and said the Raptors have those superstars. Well, they took that personally. They really, really fucking did. I mean, seriously, look at what Pascal's done since the season started before he got hurt. You got to say he's a superstar because they're actually talking about him being in the MVP race. You don't get in the MVP race if you're not considered some sort of superstar level. Now, take that kind of criteria and apply it to something like what OG's been doing in his absence. He's absolutely been the man for us since he's been gone. And he's been carrying the water. He's been doing the crazy defensive stuff. And he's also scoring like crazy. And he's scoring in ways right now that are really like a superstar would. So I'm like, I might even debate that OG's a budding superstar right now because of his 2-way play and just how good he has been. Oh my gosh, he's been so good. He was 13 for 18 from the field, which is absolutely fantastic field goal percentage for high usage guy. At 18 shots he got, he made only missed 5 of them. That is so impressive. 1 of 3 from 3-point range, 5 of 6 at the line, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block, 32 points. That's a double-double for OG, 32 and 10. That is fantastic. That is my number 1 star of the game. But Freddie is a very good number 1 star of the game also. Trust me, because that dude came back from being sick, and he didn't really miss a beat. You know, he was 7 of 21, which isn't the best shooting percentage, and 3 of 10 from 3-point range, 6 of 7 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 8 assists, and 3 turnovers, 23 points. Now, I like what Fred was doing as far as like guiding things. And oh man, we love the way he throws those lobs. And we were treated to 3 very beautiful lob plays, 2 with Christian Coloco, which in some ways looks so easy, but you don't understand how hard it is to loft that ball exactly right, to make sure that Christian is successful for finishing the lob. That like Fred makes it look so casual and so easy, just the way it just like all of a sudden he just like flips the ball up in the air and you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. And it's like, it's kind of looping up real high and it's just perfect. And then Christian's there and he's like, he's dunking it. And he got 2 of those plays, making Christian a perfect 2 of 2 from the field last night. And then one later, the cherry on top, the one for OG. And that's fun because it's not as easy to get OG a good lob like that because usually he's going to get hit in traffic. It's really reading the play that he's got the open lane and then no defender will come there and get in his way and timing it with him and having time playing with him to understand his timing to get it to him correctly. And that takes a lot of skill. So Fred being lob master last night was really fun. I love that part of his game. And of course, him hitting timely threes, him directing the game late, as in managing it to help beat the Miami Heat. That is not easy because you're doing it against his teacher and Jimmy Butler. And those 2 guys are very good at managing and trying to win games as vets from their side. Well, we beat them at that game last night, and there was a little bit of a threat that Miami could surge up and try and take the lead and win the game still late in the game. This was not a blowout. This was not an easy win. This was a win where they had to really manage things and be smart at the end of the game because Miami is still very, very dangerous, even if they're shorthanded. And that is great because that means that Lowry and OG defeated Fred and OG defeated Lowry and Butler at the out-vetting game managing of the game at the end of the game. And that is a very crucial, important time for the Raptors to do better than the other team is the last 5 minutes of the game, obviously. So let's see. Isaac Khem, and my other 2 stars are, my first star is OG. My second star is Scottie. I actually picked Scottie for my second star last night. He had a bounce back game, 19 points, 9 of 14 from the field. That's absolutely fantastic. He shot really well last night. He got going early. Once again, he hit like our first couple of baskets and kind of got our engine going. And then later on, he didn't kind of disappear. He kept initiating himself and doing different kinds of ways. But he was more shooting from the outside last night than actually going inside. And maybe, Brian Winters, maybe we do need to have a higher percentage of Scottie shooting from the outside first before he tries to go in and do the bully ball stuff that takes a lot of energy out of him. That may be part of the why his numbers have looked further down is because he's playing in a physical type of offensive scheme where he has to take a lot of energy against him. And that may wear him down a bit in some ways that make him get a single-digit output for points. That's something we have to realize that maybe part of the reason why he looked so much different last year is he was shying away from contact and really just taking the easy open shots from the outside mixed with the easier, less contact, get inside, and I can make this. Well, now he's really going straight at them, kind of like OG would. And that may be part of the reason why his shooting percentage has been down in the last couple games before this one. And also why he hasn't scored as much because he's having to expend so much energy physically with battling and those kind of ways. And well, last night he didn't do as much of that stuff down near the basket. He really kind of shot from the outside in the mid-range more. And he did not seem to struggle as much with his shooting percentage and how much he made, 9 of 14. So good job, Scottie. Really proud of you. And in the after-game interview, once again, you were hilarious. There's a couple of things he said that were just so awesome. Let me just see what some of the quotes that he had. He said, I feel like my rookie year went kind of smooth. You can see that I'm in a bit of a shooting slump. So he does recognize it and realizes it. But just trying to stay confident, keep trying to be aggressive, trust your work, not get down. That's what's going to get me through it. So yeah, just really smart. And Fred's really funny when he got on the podium last night. He's like, this is the funny thing, because he was at home. He was watching the games at home the last couple games. He watched it. It's a totally different perspective than sitting on the bench and being injured and watching the game with the team. That, you know, he can go check Twitter and he can go see what other people are saying. And he did not realize Twitter was such a toxic cesspool of stupid asses with their talk about Scottie Barnes and him slumping, sophomore slump, and him shooting so bad. And Fred was literally shocked to see that narrative being put out there so strongly in Raptor circles that he didn't even think, why would they even have this out there or even be thinking this? Because it's asinine and it's stupid. It's like, Fred is like, where the fuck does this come from? Like, what is this shit? And he kind of called it out. He's like, you guys are overreacting. Let me see if I have the direct quote on that. But it is pretty funny. Yeah, here it is. Here's the whole quote. There's no message for Scottie. You guys have fun on Twitter. That's about it. Other than that, everybody goes through it. There's highs, there's lows, there's good games, there's bad games. He's finding his way. Just continue to keep working and keep playing. Nobody around here is worried about him. We know how great of a player he's going to be. There's not any young player I would trade him for, and the sky's the limit for him. Whether that's tomorrow or in a couple of years, we'll see. The rest is up to him and how much work he puts in and how he approaches the game. He'll be fine. It's just every day you've got to dissect every possession and every play. And I didn't even realize that it was a narrative until I was sitting at home watching the Detroit game. It's a little overblown. Obviously, he can play better. We all know that. But as far as trying to make a conclusion about him as a player, I think it's pretty ridiculous. So there you go, Twitter. Y'all are getting called out by Fred VanVleet now in the post-game conference about how stupid and asinine this whole fucking Scottie thing that has been going on the whole last week has been. So there you go, y'all. And they are listening to us, and they do hear some of the stupid noise out there. Well, I love that Fred said that, and he acknowledged it, and he kind of called y'all out for being asinine and stupid for acting that way on Twitter. All right, let's see. All right, you guys are filling it up like the Raptors did last night in the net. I'm going to make sure I get to every single comment. Don't worry, guys. You know I got you back on that. All right, let's see. Congrats for every rebound last night. Yes, Isaac Campbell saying that. Yeah, those rebounds were really key. And this is the thing. NBA teams, if you can't rebound and you get out rebounded, you usually lose. That's just the damn truth. That's one of the bread and butter stats. There's one of the most important stats that you can look at in a game is who won the rebounding battle. Well, usually the team that won the rebounding battle is the team that won the game. And that is a huge stat for us last night. That is the one that Eric Spoelstra was rubbing his forehead about at the press conference last night. He's like, it was real bad. I mean, let's look at the team stats. They outshot us. They outshot us at the three-point line. They outshot us at the free throw line. Now, if they outshot us at all these different places, how the fuck did we beat them? Well, we got 20 more opportunities to shoot for field goal attempts, and that is a huge thing. And a lot of that is from 16 offensive rebounds compared to their 4 offensive rebound. That is amazing amount. And then the turnovers, we got 29 points off of their 23 turnovers, and we only had nine less turnovers than them. 14 turnovers for us, 23 for them. That's a big, huge difference right there. And then the points in the paint, we did actually kind of dominate them down low, 58-42 in the points in the paint. So there's a lot of team stats that they won, but they weren't the ones that mattered. Like in this day and age in the NBA, you do not have to be the best shooting team to win NBA games. It really is about volume. It really is this classic battle of quality versus quantity. Sure, you have more quality shots and you're making more of your threes and stuff, but we don't give a fuck because we're gonna work so hard. We're gonna get so many more extra shots that we're gonna beat you anyway. And that really is a big part of what happened last night. We out-raptured them. And that's what Spoelstra said. They said this was a Raptors game. This is a classic Raptors game. They played their way, a way they play, and they executed. And this is not easy to win. You come to this arena and they play their Raptors game, and it is so hard to come in here and take the win from them. And I love hearing that from a coach of the caliber of Eric Spoelstra. That is such a huge compliment coming from a man like him that devises all kinds of schemes to get wins in other people's buildings. Well, he really does respect how hard it is to beat the Raptors in Toronto. All right, let's see. Nameless to say, andiamo, la gente. I don't know how I did on my Italian lesson for today. You can grade me. Nameless, please give me let me know. Mike's saying, salute real ones, Project Truth always. Great win last night all around. We saw tons of development progress in a bunch of guys. Such good stuff. Little tools, little things we can glean the information from for good, smart substitutions and rotation decisions for later on in the season. That Juancho in particular, we're seeing a little bit of different display of skill set. And it could very well be that you see a cut or something, a roll or something that he does right now. And later on, near the end of the season, that Nick Nurse is like, I remember when Juancho in November was doing this particular move. Maybe we can exploit this in this situation and use it to get a basket in this timeout, after this timeout or something like that. It could be as simple as something like that. It could be something that obviously you get more trust in some of these bench players and give them a little more leash and put them out there more on the court in different ways. And all these kind of things, you really do start to get to trust them more. It's really too bad Delano did get hurt. And I have not heard any news on the injury yet this morning. I'm sure if you guys see anything on the news feed or somewhere while we're on the air right now, please let me know if there's any updated news on Delano Banton and how bad his injury is. Hopefully this is something that, isn't too long, but it does sound like it's bad just from what they were saying last night. But this is the kind of thing. It's like, well, we play with who we have. And thank God we have such a good, deep roster full of talent. We really, really do. We are a powerhouse, as Evelyn put it. We definitely are. Let's see. Evelyn's saying Sherman Hamilton said Banton of the Opera. That's cute. The Banton of the Opera got his ankle hurt, and we don't like it. Yeah. Monique's saying pray for everyone, the team, that is. Thanks. Let's just pray for everyone, like all of us on the whole world. Please, Monique, pray for everyone that we don't destroy and degrade our environment to the point where we cannot sustain life on this planet anymore because we used it up like idiots and didn't keep it in a way that was healthy for everyone for the future. That we sold our soul for a couple bucks in our back pocket and destroyed things that have been made for thousands of years that were supposed to be there for us to all enjoy forever. That some opportunists came along and saw this as a place to make money off of. So they destroyed the environment and they destroyed things that had been built there for long, long periods of time that naturally were there to help us, to stop floodplains, to do all kinds of stuff. So pray for us against the greed of men that would destroy our own planet for their own pocket. Yeah, pray for us against those motherfuckers. Yeah. Callie's saying, great game. That run in the third quarter. Wow. Callie, I'm so happy you brought this up because this 21-0 run in the middle of the third quarter was absolutely beautiful. It was really like expert plumbing work. It's like these dudes came in and said, all right. This is it. We're getting the wrench out and we're plumbing. And this is the cool thing. They were down by 10 points at the beginning of that cutoff. And then they were up by 10 points after it. That was a pure 20-point swing. They could not score for 8 minutes of the third quarter last night. And that is just expert plumbing. That is so good. And that is exactly what won us the game last night. That we were able to have such a good period of defense where Miami didn't do jack shit. It could have been a combination of them being tired, undermanned, too small, whatever. Well, we cut them off. We cut them down. We cinched it in. It's like in some ways the Raptors defense is like a boa constrictor. Sure, it'll get around you at the beginning of the game, and it's kind of like, okay, I've got you, but I'm not holding you that tight. I'm just kind of holding you in place. But I'll start cinching it in and really like crushing into you like a boa constrictor would. Once it got you, it's coming at you harder and harder and making it even tougher and tighter on you. That's what the Raptors defense is like. It may start a little bit like, I'm just kind of slithering around and coming around you and getting you hold of you. But as the game goes on, it's cinching in just like the muscles of a very mighty, strong boa constrictor. So, yeah, I see that as a kind of what we do is like all of a sudden we just cinch it so tight, they can't do jack shit. And there's no scoring by them for 8 minutes. That's fantastic. And that is not easy to do against a very potent offensive team like the Miami Heat. To cut their water off for 8 straight minutes in the third quarter, you go Raptors. That is a defensive accomplishment and a huge reason why we won the game last night. It really helped with Callie's stress meter too. Let me tell you, it's on the right side of the score for the fourth quarter. So important because we know that Miami's going to still continue the chess battle into the last 12 minutes to try and come back and get back on top of us, because they were on top of us for the first half. And then the third, we switched it around, and then we held them down from coming back at us. And they were trying. And when you have people like Lowry and Butler on the other side, it is so dangerous and so little nerve-wracking to try and keep those kind of a lead in a close game late in the game. But they did a really good job managing it. A lot of that is Fred. Logical saying, nameless, salute, bro. Big respect for reaching to El Selector's channel after the game, showing me support, man. Means a lot. All right. Show him respect and support in other channels and other places. That's fantastic. The Raptors Live on Raptors Tonight, we had a big contingency in there last night. Raptors Freak Crew was in the house at Real Sports with Randy Urban and Alvin Williams and Eric Smith and Paul Jones. Yeah, we were in the house, or Sherman Hamilton. It was Sherman Hamilton last night. And Sherman and Alvin were biting at each other a little bit too last night. I was like, whoa. Y'all are supposed to fight with Randy. Go dump on Randy. Don't fight with you guys. You guys are cool. Dump on Randy. Randy started talking tall tales about playing in Philadelphia or something like this. Motherfucker's lying. You can tell. You caught him in a lie already. Eric Smith said, this does not add up. Raptors Tonight, y'all are hilarious. Hilarious. This is a fun show. Maybe I'll have to go to the live stream more often and just be in there with them. That could be something that happens because of that. Who knows? All right, let's see. Philip is here. Morning squad. He's got a basketball. He's got a dinosaur. He's got a salute and a big W last night. Yeah, big dubs. Spam them big dubs for Big Four and the rest of the crew. Good job, Scottie. He did not get on Twitch last night. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's taking things way more seriously right now. Because, he said he wants to be on Twitch during the season. But I was thinking at the time, I was like, this isn't totally realistic. Not just because of you're going to be so fucking busy because you're playing in the NBA and it's such a grind, but also because it's going to really depend on your individual performance and also the performance of the team. And even though you played good last night, and even though y'all won last night, there's so much after debris from like this past week of dumbasses that Fred and us were talking about earlier, them being stupid on Twitter, saying stuff, that he probably still gets some of that on there, even though he had a good game last night. So I think it's probably best. Who knows? He might get on Twitch today, though, because they get a couple days off before I think they go to Atlanta tomorrow. So they'll get today off, and then they'll go to Atlanta tomorrow afternoon. So he may be on today. So there should be Scottie Barnes Twitch watch for this afternoon and evening. He could be on anytime between 3 to 10 this afternoon into the evening. That is pretty much the window that I have figured out that he will be on if he's going to be on. So be on the watch for Scottie on Twitch today, because there's a high probability it could happen. Randolph Phillips is saying, good morning and blessings to all our beloved, most informative Raptor freaks. We got the win. Let's go Raptors. Yes, the wins feel so good right now, and especially against a good quality team like the Miami Heat. Their record may not totally show who they are. They are a lauded, great veteran team. They may be a little bit older now, as Seymour Pape was pointing out in the Raptors Tonight live stream, that they're a little bit looking older and aged, but it's still an accomplishment. That the Nurse versus Spoelstra matchup is a shit talking kind of like very even kind of fun coaching matchup. The Lowry versus Van Vliet matchup, such a great like even kind of fun matchup. That this is a tough team to beat. And this is good that we got the third game of the series. And now we don't see them again till March. And hopefully we can get 3 out of the 4 for the season. Now they're going to just hope that they can even the season with us. But this could be really good. Like, this is an important game that we won last night because it may have to do with playoff things. As far as like, if we're the same spot as them in the standings at the end of the year, well, if we're up 3-4 on them in the season series, then we get the tiebreaker. So that's the kind of stuff that is important to win the series with the Eastern Conference teams. To get a better, be better than them. Now we're set up to possibly win the series with Miami 3-1 by the end of the year. And I really hope that's what happens. And blessings as always, Random Phillips. And thank you for your daily blessings also. Let's see. Kareem is here. Good to see Kareem Thomas. The Chris Boucher 6 Man of the Year campaign keeps rolling. 15 and 10 boards. And he's my third star of the night. So my 3 stars are OG, Scottie, and Chris. Chris off the bench was a badass. Like, he was 4 of 7 from the field, 6 of 9 at the free throw line. Got to the line a lot last night. 10 rebounds and 15 points. He got a double-double, 1 assist and 1 steal. I really like Chris's energy. I really like his attitude about how he's playing, because it really doesn't have anything to do with whether they're winning or losing. He's just giving a certain effort and a certain standard to the way he plays out on the court right now that doesn't matter how we're doing. And it just helps no matter what, because it's just pure hustle, pure getting after the boards. In fact, he's doing stuff with the boards this year that is so much more like Rodman. Last year, he was already kind of talking about Rodman and saying Dennis Rodman, putting the clips on his Instagram and stuff. Well, this year, he's actually going and heat-seeking rebounds down, just like Dennis used to. And you can tell when he does it, because he'll come and fly in. He got such good time, and he comes up and gets it out of the air with 2 hands, brings it down, and he wrenches it around like this. That is such a Rodman mannerism. He's rebounding like Dennis right now, and I love that. And it's really showing in his numbers that he's taking a commitment to rebounding like Dennis Rodman used to. And it's really understanding your teammates' flight paths and understanding, like, from many time on the court, the way the ball's going to bounce and getting in the right spot before everybody else. And then you add in his particular unique NBA body, and he just has an advantage over some guys to get to rebounds before them, because he's quicker, longer, and faster. And he can kind of slither through a group of guys and kind of get up and in a position to grab the ball before they do. And this is a lot of the secret to him. And a lot of it is very much straight out of Dennis Rodman's rebounding handbook from years ago. It's so fun to see him. It's almost like I'm watching Dennis Rodman in 2020. And it's like, I love Dennis so much and the way he played that it's so fun to see it in a current Raptor, the same kind of stuff that he used to do. And it really is Chris. And it's the stuff like taking the charges. Like, the man is taking charges. Like, him and Thad in particular are all about putting their body on the line. And you want that from your players. That, like, look, Thaddeus is crazy. He puts his body on the line and takes abuse every which way. But he knows that's part of winning, and how he helps his team win is getting hit and putting on the ground, or just not being afraid of contact and absorbing it. I appreciate Thad Young and Chris Boucher for this kind of stuff. Khem Birch is another one that's similar to this. Takes a lot of abuse down low. So, yeah, just good stuff by Chris. Fantastic stuff. He's my 3rd star of the night. And he's been showing up on my 3 stars list consistently in the last 5 games. He's one of the 3 stars pretty much in every single of the last 5 games. He has been that consistent and good in this stretch recently. So you go, Chris Boucher, you badass. And yes, Kareem Thomas is recognizing. He sees you. He sees you. Just like Alvin Williams was saying last night. I see you. I see you out there. Monique is saying, Fred shutting up everyone about Scottie in the post-game interviews. Thank you. Let's go. Saw you in the Raptors Tonight live stream last night. Yeah. I decided to just go in there just for fun. Oh, they're live right now. All right, let's check it out. Sometimes I'll be real busy after the game because I'm trying to do so many different things to get ready for the stream this morning. that I don't do it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go in there and check it out. And as soon as I walked in, I saw Scott B and Tom Duke, and I'm like, whoa, everybody's here. So it's like, all right, I'm going to hang out. It's a party. So that was fun. Maybe we'll do that more often. So maybe Raptor Free Crew will take over Raptors Tonight live stream after the games. Yeah, that'll be fun. Click saying, didn't watch the game, but paid attention to the score. Glad we got the dub. OG balled out, and Scottie needed this game. Definitely will help his confidence a lot. Yeah, I don't think he really has a problem with his confidence. I think that people have a problem with their confidence in him. I don't think it's him. He's a super confident kid. And I'm just going to echo what he told us all summer. He's like, don't doubt him. Please don't use his teammate's name. Don't be doubting him. Because he is not somebody to be doubted. He is somebody to be believed in. And like Fred said, it may not happen tomorrow, it may not happen next week, but it is going to happen eventually. And they have no doubt that that is what's going to happen. And why are the fans doubting him then? Because he doesn't doubt himself. It's like the confidence is not coming from Scottie or the team or anybody. It comes from the fans and their own insecurity about things. It's very strange. It's very, very strange. Now, there's something. What was the other thing I wanted to say? Fred said this, and this I want to reiterate this because I already read it earlier. He said he would not trade Scottie for any other young player in this league, and you need to really listen to that, Raptors fans. That he wouldn't trade him for Cade, he wouldn't trade him for Mobley, he wouldn't trade him for Jaden Ivey, he wouldn't trade him for any of these motherfuckers that are young and around his age. He probably even includes Luka in that list. So what I'm saying is Fred believes in him and he understands what's going on. If anybody's going to understand this kind of stuff, it's Fred. And I love that he said that and really kind of backs up Scottie by saying, I wouldn't have any other younger player on my team. He's the one I like playing with and the one I want on my team. And that's a huge vote of confidence from Fred. Vote of confidence from him. Scottie's confident. Nick Nurse is confident in him. But the fans aren't confident in him. What's wrong with toxic, weird fans that are going after Scottie? Are they Boston fans, maybe? All right, let's see. Mike saying, Click, you got to rewatch the game. No, not going to lie. It was a marker game in the sense of a lot of developing skills were shown and played well. Not gonna lie, there are websites that have NBA replay videos. I use one sometimes. Yeah, and you can also probably find, if he has cable and he has some of the channels, he may be able to find Raptors in an hour, Raptors game in an hour, where he can actually just watch the whole game with all the bullshit cut out of it. It's just all the plays. I know they used to show that on a couple of the cable channels. But yeah, it is worth going back and watching, Click. So definitely go back and watch this one. It's similar to the Detroit game on Monday, that these are important wins that we really needed to get, wins that were shorthanded, wins that were a little close and a little scary near the end and just closed out and done really well. So very good wins, a pair of very good wins in the last two games that the Raptors have played. And some would say their best two wins of the season so far. And I might not disagree with them. A lot of people are saying the Detroit game on Monday was the best win we've had so far this year. Well, last night was pretty damn good too. Let's see. Nacho the Nacho is here. Would like to see some more offensive consistency from Wancho, but I like him more than Stanley, OG, Scottie, and Chris were our best players. You like him more than Stanley Johnson? Now you're comparing Wancho to Stanley Johnson. Come on, man. Comparing them to Svi earlier. Nako, I hope you had a really good time on Monday at the Detroit game. Fantastic job you guys did as a crowd for that game. You really did such a good job. And like I said earlier, if you go to a game like that again at Detroit, take a picture and send it to me. I'll put you in as the thumbnail for the reaction stream the next morning. That's just going to be an open standard thing to Raptor Freaks. If you are at a game, if you don't even live in Toronto and you're at a game in another city, please send me the thumbnail so we can really make this a Raptor Freak channel, like celebrating Raptor Freaks at the games also. And you being at that Detroit game was special on Monday. And I was thinking about you when you were there. I was like, I'd see Raptor fans in the crowd. I'm like, I wonder if that's Nako. And a fun guy was recognizing his friends from Windsor in the crowd when he was watching that. It's so funny, that crazy story about that gangster who was at the Raptors game. And he was actually kind of had a hit job out for him. And they saw him at the game. And then he got murdered a couple of days later because they found him on the game at the Raptors game. He got shown on TV. It's so crazy, that story from a couple of years ago. So yeah, if you're, there's weird stuff like that. Like this gangster comes, he's on the TV, and then they find out he's in Toronto, and then he gets shot down in Yorkville or something like that. And then you see like this card from NBA hoops. There's this basketball card. I think I talked about it at the party we had, the meet and greet. The Melendez brothers are on a Mark Jackson card, a New York Knicks Mark Jackson card. They had murdered their parents and they were like on the run, but they were not caught yet. And they went to a New York Knicks game and they ended up being in the front row on the card. It's just like notorious weird stuff. So if you're like have people after you or you're in witness protection, don't go to a Raptor game because you might get put on TV and it may be very dangerous. Okay. Sue is here. Oh, wait, hang on. Let me read Philip. Philip saying, please drop a like on the stream. Let's push that algorithm. Thank you, Philip, for the encouragement to do this. Yes, please like, comment, subscribe, share. Everything that you do helps the channel. And I appreciate everybody for being so supportive. It's so fun to do this channel, but it is a lot of work. And your encouragement and positivity about the channel really keeps me going. Sue saying, good morning, everyone. What a game. Sue, thank you for sending me the pictures. And I'm so happy to put you and Monique on blast for the thumbnail for this game from last night. Good job cheering them on. Now, I want to say at times it seemed like the crowd wasn't really there for them. And you may have been frustrated while you're sitting in the crowd, seeing how many empty seats there were at the beginning of the game. Not everybody was getting there to the game. They've been losing kind of recently. So sometimes enthusiasm by the common fan, it's not like us that's in depth, a Raptor freak, so to speak. They may be casual about it because, they've been losing lately. Well, let's not hurry to get down there. Well, as long as we get down there before halftime, I'll be happy. Okay, yeah, let's go, Joe. Yeah, and they saunter in and they got to get their drinks and everything. But there was a lot of empty seats at the beginning of the game. And the crowd energy wasn't loud enough at times. I know they picked it up by the end of the game and they really brought it home to help us. But I was worried because it seemed like the crowd energy wasn't exactly right through the whole game. Very quiet at times in the building. And Detroit's crowd on Monday night was way crazier in some ways, it seems like, than our own home crowd against Miami. And I hate that sometimes I think it is just these corporate idiots that are in the lower bowl and that they're just not, they're not invested. They're more invested in I'm here and I just came here as a status thing than like invested in actually the team winning or like being fans like us. And so I bet Sue was frustrated at times with how much the crowd was like getting behind the team. Although sometimes on TV, you can't tell. It's actually louder than it seems through the broadcast. But it seemed like it was kind of quiet at the beginning of the game. And then in the third quarter, obviously, everybody's on at their seats as usual to start the third quarter. But it wasn't a factor in hurting the Raptors. They played very well in the third quarter, in fact. So that was not bad. Seymour saying mornings after a win are so awesome. Yeah, I'm with you, Seymour. And good to see you last night in the Raptors Tonight, the live stream. Fun guy saying, laugh out loud is because Matt kept rubbing Alvin's knee in excitement, like after every bucket by Raps. What, Matt was rubbing Alvin's knee? Wait. It's so silly. These guys are getting, Alvin's getting so much better. He had his old verbal stumbles last year, but it's really about how many stories he tells and just the perspective as a former pro is really important. Because listen, I'm a dude, like I didn't get to any kind of level of basketball like these guys. And in some ways, I'm just talking out of my ass. But this dude's not talking out of his ass. When he talks about like basketball, and he comes from a real place of real experience. And that's why it's so important to have former pros and former Raptors in particular in the broadcast booth announcing. And that's why I'm so happy Alvin's our dude. And he's really coming to his own, and he's a lot more entertaining and enjoyable. And just keep the stories coming. We love hearing the stories about Vince, about Kyle behind the scenes, Muggsy Bogues stories, whatever you got, Alvin, just keep them coming. You're doing a great job. And we appreciate your real experience and knowledge from your real NBA career. All of us YouTube guys, we don't know jack shit compared to Alvin Williams. That man's been on the court. And I'll admit that. And they may want to watch me more because, this guy understands. He doesn't know shit because he's never got to that level of the NBA. We don't understand how hard it is just to even make the G League, y'all. You don't even understand how hard it is to just to get to invite to a summer league team. Like getting all the way to the NBA and then getting to being like a starter or to be a regular rotation player is so fucking hard. And it's like when you understand how hard it is, man, some of these people would be shutting up on how critical they are of these guys because they really don't have any room to talk with who they are in real life and who they are in real life. I'm sorry, you guys should not be able to criticize NBA players. Let's go out and see you on the court and see what you can do. Let's see if you can even run up and down the court for a minute or two. You may not even be able to do that because you ain't got no energy. So, yeah, Alvin, you go, Alvin Williams. We love you. All right, let's see. Randolph saying Scottie is a cyborg. He heals himself every time he tweaks something. I want our guys to be kind of like Kawhi, cyborgs, OG, emotionalist, killer. Scottie Barnes, you can't hurt him. He's invincible, like Superman. He regenerates just like Wolverine. I love that narrative. Let's push it. Randolph Phillips, let's push it for sure. Seymour Pappas saying, I'm a fun guy, like the Clippers owner, a knee rubber. A knee rummer, a humdinger. Was that a knee slapper? Such a knee slapper, Matt Devlin. Don't slap my knee, though. Keep your hands to yourself. Yeah, Georgia Satellites. Yeah, keep your hands to yourself. That's what Alvin's singing to Matt Devlin during the game. Don't tell me no lies and keep your hands to yourself. Georgia Satellites. Yes. All right, let's see. Monique saying, morning, Sue. Let's keep building on these wins. Yeah. You know what we got Atlanta next. Atlanta Saturday night. So 2 days off. Now, I was going to do a trivia tomorrow, but you know what? I'm going to do a regular schedule from the off season. I'm going to do a freak out tomorrow because I don't want to put together a trivia game today. So I want to just do a short freak out tomorrow stream tomorrow. So it won't be too much content tomorrow, but we will have trivia next Tuesday on the regular day. So I didn't want to do two trivias so close together. So there won't be a trivia tomorrow. We'll do a Friday freak out, and then there'll be Tuesday trivia on Tuesday and Monday memory on Monday. Because there's a little bit of a spread out between the games. We play Atlanta, and that's the only game we got this week until we play again next Wednesday. So really, really good time for the Raptors to rejuvenate, get their health back up. Hopefully some of these guys that are out right now, maybe they can get some medical clearance and be back in the lineup for next Wednesday against, I believe it's the Brooklyn Nets. We play next Wednesday. So this Atlanta game on Saturday is very gettable, especially the way we played Atlanta on Halloween. Woo, woo. In some ways, we're licking our chops, but we got to understand something about the Hawks. And this is a little early preview for them. I'll do it on Saturday morning. They're very good at home. So them on the road, their road record isn't as good as their home record. They're very good on home. So this game against Atlanta on Saturday night may not be as much of a cakewalk as the first time we played them on Halloween. And it also may have to do with who we have not available for injuries and who they have available. And they may be very full strength right now. But we'll find out, preview on Saturday. But just initially, the game in Atlanta is going to be tougher just because their home court they play better on. So that's a little early preview for that, but in some scheduling notes. Tomorrow, Friday, freak out, not trivia. Sorry, I told you guys I was going to do a trivia on Friday, but I just don't feel like doing the work, and I don't even know what to write the trivia on. So I'm going to write the trivia for next week. I don't want to have to do two of them. So I'm just going to do the one on Tuesday next week. All right, let's see. Isaac saying some things are better off left under the table. Yes, I mean, this was awkward. This got into a little bit of a zone where it's like you might change the TV rating of the game, Alvin and Matt. This is a PG-13 crowd now. Look out. I put Johnny to bed. He's only 12. Jake can't watch it. Jake's take can't watch it. It's PG-13 now. Damn it. All right, let's see. Nameless is saying, no problem, Logical. I enjoyed it a great deal. Awesome. Glad to see you guys bonding and seeing each other in other places. Sue's saying, hey, question. In the fourth, we were in bonus by seven-ish mark, but Heat got an offensive foul on Fred, and he was on the ground, and we had a side out instead of shooting. Why did that happen? I think that play in particular, Sue, was the foul was not with the part with Fred. The foul was done by another player on another player. Even though Fred was on the ground, I think that from what I remember was they called the foul at another play on the same play at another place. It was like somebody foul. I think what it was it was in the lane and somebody hit somebody and they called them for it. It was on a screen. And it wasn't the play with Fred where Fred was. And that's why they called it side out instead of giving him shots. Because it was an off ball foul. That's what it was. Kareem saying Fred and OG was like Batman and Robin in the third quarter last night. I'll leave it up for debate who was Batman and who was Robin. Yeah, why can't they just be like equal or like there's Superman and Batman? One of them was Superman, one of them is Batman. Nobody needs to be Robin. It's Superman and Batman. Obviously, OG is Batman and Fred is Superman. It's kind of what it was. And I don't know. Khem was Aquaman. I don't know. And they're right here. I got them behind me, y'all. There's the super friends are right here. There's Batman, Superman, Aquaman, Firestorm. They're right there. I got the DC ones out here right now. All right, let's see. Great to see you last night, Mo. That's awesome. I'm so happy to see you guys link up, and thank you for sending the picture. Callie's saying OG was a beast on both ends. So impressive. He just is a superstar. Like, you know what? The one thing I really liked about what he did last night was when he would bring the ball up the court. He had to bring the ball up the court a lot last night, and they were pressuring us. Like, they were playing like our kind of defense full court on us. Well, OG looked at this as an opportunity, and what he did was he really used his skill of changing gears really quickly to be aggressive, going against their aggressiveness, and it was super, super effective. Because basically, they were trying to hound him, and they were all over him, but he would just bowl through, and then there may be a lane that appears to him all of a sudden, and he's darting right into the lane and attacking the rim and getting such good things to happen. That was fantastic. In fact, that to me kind of showed something that may be very useful in the future. Is that if we have a problem with guys full court pressing us, other teams using that on us, that OG may be the right dude to bring the ball up the court just because of his strength, his bullishness, and his ability to read lanes and just take it apart. Like, that was a real big, cool thing. How he was so quickly aggressive. It's like usually somebody's aggressive on a full court press. They're like, oh, you got to get sheepish and protect him. No, he was like, I'm going into it, leaning right into it and going right through it. And busting it right down the middle myself, individually, all by myself. That was fantastic. And I love seeing that. That was kind of a new thing that he showed that I haven't really seen. I mean, he's done it in a little bit at times, but not this overwhelmingly powerful and successfully. Because some of them were leading to him just getting straight up dunks on them. Because he'd go right through them and they're like, oh, we got to get out of the way. And then bam, he's just dunking on them. And that was fantastic. OG was super impressive. And that in particular, what I just described. Nameless is saying, I totally noticed that ref shit. Yeah, you saw it. Like it's really kind of, they try and counterbalance it. Like in the beginning, that was really heavy on us. We had like a legal defense call. We had a couple of travel calls. You know, they won't call any fouls on our side, but then we're getting touch fouls called on their side. And then later they start pissing off the Heat fans. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they were getting called on them later on. And then when you go on Twitter after the game, you see Miami Heat fans just blaming the refs. They're telling that the refs did a hit job on them last night. That's what they're saying. Well, some Toronto fans feel like they did a hit job on us and we just overcame it. So who's right? Once again, if the both fan nations are complaining about the refs did a good job. Let's just put it that way. It's the opposite of what logic would tell you. It's like, oh, they're both complaining. They obviously did a shitty job. No, if they made everybody miserable and made like they feel like they screwed them over, well, then in some ways that sounds fair. Sue's saying, I was watching a Heat post game and guess who I saw? Amy Audibert. She's working for Bally Sports as a Heat analyst. Yeah, she did go down there. You know, she's Canadian. She's from Niagara Falls, and she did love calling our team, but she wanted to be down there all along. She's a University of Miami Hurricane. She played basketball for their team, and she really loves the Miami area, and she's a good fit for that team. Her personality really kind of fits Heat Nation in some ways. And she's the kind of person that they should have on their TV down there talking about sports because she can get in there and get respect from the Heat Nation And they're going to really love her over time. Trust me, she's going to become some sort of like Heat icon as a broadcaster for their team. Trust me, they're going to really like her. And it doesn't hurt that Kyle's down there too, and that she has a relationship with Kyle already. So that, and she has a little bit of an edge over the Miami people that are already there, her showing up because she knows Kyle really well. And that's part of the fun thing for her being down there and stuff. When we heard the switch around that Savannah was going to be taking her job, and she said, "Oh, I'm on to bigger, better pastures" or something like that. Well, that's what she meant, that she's going down there. And the cool thing is, she's not just doing she's in the pregame. She's not just doing sideline reporting for them. She's actually in the studio before the game doing the stuff like Kate Burness would be doing. So she's in there. Well, actually, she's more like Leo in there. She's like Leo and Sam. She's the analyst. She's like she's not the host. She's the analyst, and so she's kind of giving. She's in the pregame and the postgame. But yeah, good job by Amy Audibert. And I knew she was better fit for another fan or another team in Fan Nation than ours, because she picked Philly to beat us in the first round last year, and that pissed me off. And then I kind of saw her fangirling over Miami and being Miami when they went there on an away game once, where she was there, and she seemed like, oh, she was so happy and she's kind of in her environment. So this makes sense that she ended up getting hired by the Miami Heat, and we just wish her well. And I know she's going to be super successful, and she's going to become a part of Heat culture and their personalities, and they're going to really like her. Monique saying, "OG, oh my, he made me happy. We know what we get from him. OG Defensive Player of the Year." Yeah, we're getting a lot more from him, and we're getting it a lot more consistently. This is one of the things you gauge a superstar by. Is this a night in, night out basis kind of thing where you can count on him for like a baseline of certain things? Well, maybe when Pascal's there and he's the guy who kind of has that weight on him to get that baseline of certain amount of good things at the very top, that he can handle that, and OG can kind of go up and down with his scoring. But if Pascal's not there, OG needs to step up and be that role like Pascal, the guy who's carrying the team, the leader, the man, the superstar on the team. And he's shown since Pascal's been out, he can do this pretty consistently. That if you look at OG's stat lines, over the last few games since Pascal's been out, they're actually very, very, very consistent and giving good effort, good amount of points, good effort on the defensive end, good effort on the offensive end. And this is really important. And this is part of the reason why I'm saying he's a superstar in this league, because you could put him on the Orlando Magic and he would do this shit every single night for them. And he may be the man for their team, even with their rising young stars around them. The OG would actually still be their superstar if he went to a worse team in some places around the league. So this is really cool. I love seeing his growth and getting big boy shoes, growing into bigger shoes to fill. Seymour saying Miami jerseys gave me that Toontown feeling from Roger Rabbit. Laugh out loud. I'm glad we won. Beat Kyle every time. Yeah, Seymour. Yeah, somebody made the joke on Twitter last night that the Miami Heat jerseys are like a ransom note from an awful person. It's like, who put this ransom note with all the different letters and stuff? I actually like those jerseys a lot. They're weird because they're not uniforms. You get that? Because they're not all the same. The jerseys have different number fonts on different players' numbers, and they're fonts from all the different fonts that the Miami Heat have used for their jerseys. So you see they're different ones from different times, and that's kind of cool. I actually really like those jerseys because they're so weird and kind of different. And they've worn them for a couple years now. They've had these ones for a while. This isn't the first time they've worn these ones, and they made them like 2 or 3 years ago, actually. But yeah, I like them, even though they look like a ransom note from some sort of crazed fucking kidnapper person. Like, we have them at the dock, and if you don't send us $10,000 by 3 a.m., we're gonna throw them in the river. Ooh, But it's a little Roger Rabbit, a little bit like this may be like, we got Roger Rabbit, who will put him in the dip if you don't come. Yeah, I get you what you're saying, that vibe, Seymour. Logical saying Valley Sports coming up. They own the Pacers, Brooklyn Heat, and media. Yeah, Valley Sports seem to be all over the place. Whatever. Bally. I always think of baseballs when I see Bally. I'm a fun guy. Hernan Gomez has surprised me the last few games with impressive style. He looked bad to start season, but I'm coming on to him. So are you coming on to him, fun guy? He's like, hey, you're so handsome. No, I'm just saying, Listen, that's true. He started a little slow. We didn't use him a whole lot, but now we're having to use him because we don't have enough bodies. And you're seeing he's a reliable fill-in for certain things. At least there's a baseline of very good defensive capability as far as switching within their system. In fact, I want to say something about the Raptors defense that we saw last night. They are so good. The way we're switching and working together and closing out has been absolutely fantastic. We were doing a lot of this last year already, and I thought it was really, really good. But this year, there's something different about it. It may be that we have a better personnel with people like Wancho and Otto here, but the closeouts and the way we're rotating on defense is absolutely fantastic. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's like beautiful symphony music. It's like the notes coming from the way they switch, the way they close out, and just how much we stymie and stop and stifle the other team's offense with how quickly we're moving around and the effort. It was so bellissimo. It's so amazing. And I just love it. It's like, it, in some ways, it's like the joy in my life to see the Raptors crisp defensive rotations completely shutting down the other team. And then we hear the 24-second shot clock go off for a violation. I love that so much. When the Raptors can hold the team from not even getting a shot for the whole 24-second clock, that they can't work it past us, that they can't get the ball anywhere, and any little bit of daylight, they're just chucking it to try and make it because they know they won't even get the shot they want to get because we won't let them have anything on the three-point line. So all of a sudden you have to see Max Strus taking a mid-range runner because we won't give him anything on the line because we're just so stingy. I love that about the defense right now. And in some ways, we're not giving enough credit to the defense in some ways because they are actually the rotations on the defense at some points are just immaculate. They're just pristine. And that it's like, oh my gosh, like that between that and a Khem Birch, like defensive stand down low with his strongness. These are the things that I just love about basketball. The Khem Birch, the Chris Boucher rebounding like Dennis Rodman, the rotating of the Raptors, the way that they're playing so well together, and somebody's just there. And Wancho was a huge part of looking really good in those rotations and flying around and coming at guys and making them miss or not even be able to get a shot at all. I love it so much. And then you add in the fact that he is a deadly three-point shooter that you got to respect. He is a guy who's cutting around like Yuta used to, stirring the drink, and he's a big target that you can find if he does a really cool cut, a Euro cut. I'm going to call them Euro cuts because he does little Euro cuts they're not very common or normal in the NBA, but they're fantastic and they're very utilized in international play. It's just not a part of the NBA scheme of the way that the game's normally played here as much. Those Euro cuts are awesome. And I like that kind of melding of his style of play in with our style because he does have a different kind of style than the NBA. He's not totally an NBA player. In some ways, he very much is a FIBA player. And he comes from that kind of like path and that kind of place. The way he plays in the NBA is very, very FIBA influenced. And I love that about Hernan Gomez. All right, let's see. Cool Cat saying, good morning, Raptorfreak crew. I got a last minute ticket for cheap. Awesome. So Cool Cat went to the game. Scottie's ankles are hurting. Can't move left fast. Winston the game. Delano hurt his ankle first quarter and played through it and had to leave in the third. So that's part of it. Like, yeah, so he actually got hurt earlier, tried to play through it, but then it was a no-go and he needed to go to the back. I hate to hear that. And this may kind of add the kind of reasoning to think, well, if he had that happen and he's still trying to play on it, well, should we be worried about Scottie injuring himself further? I don't know. Cool Cat, I know visually you went to the game and you saw that, but he said after the game he's fine. There's nothing wrong with him. He may be lying. But this is the thing. We said earlier, there's going to be the regular NBA grind. There's going to be bumps and bruises. There's going to be regular nagging kind of little injuries, but they're not the kind of injuries that keep you out of the lineup. And I think that's the kind of thing that's happening with Scottie. There may be just little annoying, like kind of painful injuries. They're a little annoying, but they're not the kind of ones that would keep you out. And I think that's what's going on with him because he said it once again last night. He said to Josh Lewenberg and all the rest of them in the room, exactly his words are, after being asked, has your ankle been bothering you? No, not at all. That is what he said. That's what he told the press. So he's either lying or we're seeing something that's not there. All right, let's see. Sue's saying 21-0 run in the third. Show them what we can do. Really huge part of what made us win last night is that shutting off that water. Hugh is here. Good to see Hugh. I know it's unrealistic, but would you trade Fred for SGA considering the defensive side that Fred brings to the table? Not to mention he's a better three-point shooter. No, and it sounds like you're making the argument against that trade also, and that you were setting me up to say this. Thank you, Hugh. No, I'm all about not trading any of our guys for any other guys. I don't give a shit if it sounds good, like it's Kevin Durant or SGA or any of these guys. The chemistry on our team is really important. And when you add new ingredients to a stew, it tastes different. And I like the way our stew tastes right now. Put a spoon in there and just get a little taster, and you'll be like, that does taste good. There's some really good things brewing in that stew that we're cooking here in Toronto right now. Whether it's the really, really cool things with Koloko and Fred, with Lobs, whether it's, OG expanding his roles as a superstar, whether it's Chris Boucher's diligent hard work off the bench. There's so much good taste in the stew that we're cooking right now. I don't want to take out that great ingredient that Fred adds to the stew and put in an unknown ingredient, and we don't know if it'll taste like shit afterwards. So I really take this philosophy with this. It's like, listen, the known is much better than the unknown. And if you have a known, and this is the known, and I'm not saying SGA wouldn't be a huge, overwhelming success on the Toronto Raptors. We know Fred will be. And that's the difference. It's like we could bring SGA in and it could just really ruin our balance. He doesn't really totally fit what our vision is right now. So he doesn't really fit our roster construction. As talented and great as he is. Now, there's no way that they would trade them straight up. So when the trade would be made, it wouldn't just be Fred going the other way. We'd be losing even more than Fred. And that makes it even less appealing to me. So yeah, no, I wouldn't do this, and I think that you are leading me to that answer with the way you asked it. So yeah, he is a very good defender, and what he's doing is just so important for us. That's our captain. That is our guy with the roadmap to a championship, and we need Fred. He's essential. He's untouchable, and everybody who slanders him by saying he needs to be traded, just shut the fuck up. Isaac saying Boucher 6-man, OG Defensive Player of the Year, PASCAL MVP, Fred VanVleet Finals MVP, and Scottie Barnes Most Improved Player. Are there other teams in the NBA? If we could sweep all the awards at the end of the year, yeah, we could probably line up a different Raptor for every single award. And that is, once again, a testament to just how good we are in all kinds of around ways. But what's going to happen to us is what happens to a lot of teams. When you have a lot of good players that are kind of the same level, they kind of cancel each other out for consideration for awards. You really kind of have to be head and shoulders above the rest. Now, one of the things that I think is very interesting that's being talked about right now, and I think this is very realistic, and we may need to want to put the campaign steam into this, because I'll tell you why. There's all kinds of benefits to this. Let's start the campaign to get OG Anunoby on the All-Star team. This man is playing like an all-star so far this season, and there's very much a prestige to having him get all-star level, because then we can say we have 3 all-stars in our starting lineup. And the more of our guys get that, even if they don't all get it every year, and in some years they don't get it and go back, if OG gets an all-star this year, that is good for our team, because we can say PASCAL, Fred, and OG are all all-star caliber players. And that OG, honestly, he is playing at an all-star level right now. So in some ways, sure, we're going to hear noise for PASCAL, but him being hurt right now does kind of hurt his chances. But he is definitely an all-star, and he should be on the all-star team. But if we're going to have a second Raptor on the all-star team because our record is good enough and we should get a second one, it might need to be OG, just because of recent things that have happened with him and his elevation of his game and his offensive game. The defense has always been there, and he's getting more recognized for it. But let's try and see this. If OG can make the all-star team, that would be really good. Hot Take Jay saying, where's Pensair basketball talking about Fred? Where are you at, bro? Come on, Goofy. Where's the apology video? Well, he did kind of apologize, apparently. I don't know. I'm not watching his stuff. I have nothing to do with you, Pensair. And no, nothing personal. I'm only echoing and parroting what my people are saying here. People like Hot Take Jay, who are annoyed with you and want you to apologize to Fred. So maybe you need to make that content. You should be listening to them, because this is your audience. And I know you don't want to be painted with that brush. That's what G said. He said he went to your channel and you're talking about like, oh my gosh, I saw something about myself that I didn't realize. and I don't want to be that person. Well, that's great if you want to make that change. I support people improving themselves, Pensair. So listen, man, if you're making the changes and you want to do things in the right way, listen, take my philosophy, stay positive and stay supportive of the team. You can make great content that people will eat up and love. And you can have those kind of parameters. It's so often that we're taught that negativity and tearing people down is what people want to see. But no, not in today's world anymore. It's really changing. That may have been the flavor of the month last year or last month, but not anymore. People are sick of the negativity. People are sick of people tearing each other down. They want to see positive light. They want to see people building each other up. They want to see healing. They want to see happiness. And that's a big part of my aims on this channel too. It's like, why is Raptors content so miserable? Why are we so down and depressed and negative and cynical and pessimistic and slanderous? I wanted to do the alternative. I wanted to be the alternative. And that is a big reason why this channel exists. And so maybe he had an epiphany. He may have came here and saw one of my streams and saw some of the things I was saying. He's like, I like this guy. He says a lot of the things that I like, and I trust him, and he does know what he's talking about. But man, he's really burning me right now. And I'm like, I don't know you, bro. And I've never seen your content. I'm just going by what they're telling me. And I trust them, and they're real ones. And that's why I always say this. So if he's getting better because of it, because he had an epiphany and he understands, holy shit, I don't want to be this kind of content, this is good. So maybe we'll see a change of tone in the Pensair basketball channel. But who knows? Don't hold your breath either way. Monique saying, glad Butler was so quiet last night. Yeah, actually, this is actually a huge accomplishment by the Raptors on the down low. There probably isn't getting enough light shined on it. Jimmy Butler last night was 4 of 8 from the field, 5 of 5 from free throw range, 1 rebound, 5 assists, 1 steal, 5 turnovers, -4 in his plus minus, and he had only 13 points. He really started slow. He had hardly anything at halftime. And then in the second half, he tried to will himself back into the game. But we really did kind of nullify him in some ways. This is a huge accomplishment because we know Jimmy Buckets is going to get his buckets. Well, he didn't last night. He wasn't totally successful at that. Maybe he wasn't as aggressive as he could have been. Maybe it could be that we had OG on him and he really cut his water off. He was like very much being a plumber to him specifically. So there's a lot of different factors, and this is a huge accomplishment, the line that Jimmy Butler had last night. They didn't have Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy Butler was held to 13 points, and we had Lowry get 19. So Lowry had a good game. In fact, Lowry was doing Lowry stuff. He started the game off with his little walk up the court, pull up 3-point shot to start the game. It's like they were saying, yeah, he's done that a million times in our arena. He was doing all the different things that he knows the Scotiabank Arena very well from playing there a lot of his career. And he was just reveling in it and enjoying it. And we saw the kind of intangibles and things that Kyle does that really help a team, whether it's the timely threes, the really interesting veteran guile of like trying to trick the refs. In fact, Fred was talking about that in the post game. He's saying, yeah, Kyle pisses me off because he's trying to trick the refs all the time. Well, he couldn't trick them last night. At some point, Michael Smith, who's been refereeing for 30 years and loves dinner, they weren't taking the bait, and they weren't letting Lowry get away with some of his regular stuff. And it was frustrating Lowry. In fact, he had one freak out moment where he looked like he might have got a tech very easily if he'd gone a little bit further. But yeah, it was funny because they weren't buying his shit last night. And Fred actually said that in the press conference afterwards. I'm glad the refs weren't falling for his bullshit. It's what he said, basically. But Lowry was on display last night, and that was a good Lowry game. Lowry was playing very well, and he was the best out of their 3 main guys because one guy didn't show up, the other guy didn't have it, and he did, and he was the best one out of them. So it was fun. It was fun. Yeah, Mike's saying, Hot Take Jay, bring in the heat. Yeah, go tell Pensair he did that. I don't even know if I'm saying his name right, Pensair. I think it's just Pensair. You go, Hot Take Jay. I always love you come in. You always have like one comment, but it's just so impactful. It's like you're off the bench, but man, you hit a big shot always. Let's see. Patrick Douglas saying this stretch of games highlights our bench. Hernan Gomez has emerged as a dependable team member. Our defensive player of the NBA is also an offensive marksman. Go OG. What a team. Isn't it a joy? Like, seriously, y'all enjoy watching Raptor games, don't you? It's like beautiful music. It's like if you love like classical music, it's like going to the Toronto Symphony. You just like see the beautiful music played on the court. It's just like Nick Nurse is on the keys and he's pressing those keys, the right keys. Those are Hernan Gomez, Chris Boucher, Coloco. He's just trying the tunes and putting the right melodies together on the court with the combinations. And yes, I love the part of what you're saying here, Patrick, that I love the most is he's emerged as a dependable team member. That this isn't like our bench last year. These guys came in and we're like, holy fuck, are these guys even supposed to be in the NBA? Or it's like they are not doing anything capable. Not even a single one thing is capable. They're absolutely failing at everything. Well, we don't have that anymore. We have bench guys we can depend on that they're going to make the right decisions. And it really is because they have more of a veteran slant towards like Otto Porter, Thad Young, Juancho Hernan-Gomez. These guys have been around. They're savvy. They're experienced. And that's a big difference between our bench from last year and our bench this year. And it's just nice to see that word dependable. Oh my gosh, Patrick Douglas. That's the nail on the head of what we needed for our bench from last year. Sue's saying, hey, Mo, Butler was so quiet, I would actually forget he was on the court at times last night. That is really weird because he usually is such a force and such a will to do things. It could be that Kyle's like, you know what? Let's give him the game. Let's give him the game tonight. I love my team. I love my guys. I've been watching them. I watch every single one of their games. This is what Lowry said yesterday. He watches all the Raptor games, and he roots for us. He's so proud of our young dudes like PASCAL, OG. He loves them so much. And when he sees OG, what he did last night, in some ways he's like, yeah, we're losing. But golly, I'm so proud of OG. Like, look at what he's become while I've been gone. And like, look what he's doing now. I'm just so proud of him. And Fred was funny in the after game. He's saying, yeah, Kyle watches all of our games and we talk about them. We talk every day. But first of all, the question, I got to frame it this way. The dude asked him, he's like, you and Kyle talk every day. What do you guys talk about? And Fred says, first of all, that's none of your fucking business. That's what he said, basically. And then he was like, well, all right, what do you think we talk about? What do you and your friend talk about every other day if you talk all the time? Yeah, everything. That's what we talk about. And he said, yeah, I try and watch as many Heat games as I can, but I hate them so much. I can't really watch them too much. That's what Fred said. I'm like, Fred, you are such a Raptor for life and such a badass. He said he hates the Heat too much to try and watch their games for Kyle, like Kyle does for us. Because Kyle loves the Raptors. Of course he can watch a Raptor game and enjoy it. Well, Fred don't enjoy watching the Heat games, even though he loves Kyle. He'll love watching Kyle, but he hates watching the Heat. And I love that about Fred, that he's such a competitor that he said that shit in the interview. And it just shows something about him and his psyche and the way he is. Yeah, I would watch Kyle, but I can't stand watching the Heat. Fred, you are a real one, and you are one of us, bro. You are like, if Fred wasn't in the NBA and he wasn't playing, he was a fan, he was a person, he'd be the kind of fan that we are. Seriously, he'd be that kind of real, dedicated, die hard, like honored, like just like dedicated, like loyal fan, like a real one. He'd be just like us, guys. All right, let's see. Hugh is saying Scottie only took 2 3-pointers, much better than when he used to take 6 or 7. Yeah, he limited them. Maybe partly that was what he got naturally. And maybe it is really like, in some ways, it's like there's 3 levels that he can play at. He shoot the threes, he can do the mid-range stuff, or go right to the basket. And last night, it really was more of a mid-range game that he was shooting from. And I like that. I like him to take a couple dribbles into the 3-point space and then like make a mid-range, like a 15-footer or a 10-footer. And the stuff near the basket, that's where he's going to get beat down and get hurt. And that's okay. We want him to learn that. But last night, it was really a mid-range place that he was shooting from. And you saw the way he made the 3 he made last night was really crazy. He was falling out of bounds, and he had a guy on him, and it was a last-second shot at the shot clock. And he nailed it. And it was not an easy shot. It wasn't like a textbook shot. He went up with his squared shoulders. He was falling and he was drifting, and he threw it and it went in. I was like, holy shit, Scottie made that. It's like, yes, Scott, you go. Because when he hits his jump shot, it makes me very happy right now. Because every time he hits a jump shot right now, I know that's shutting the fuck up some of these idiots that have recently been around and stuff. So it was really cool to see where Scottie was picking his spots last night. It was better in some ways and more effective, obviously, by his shooting percentage being 9 of 14 from the field. That was much more effective. And getting right up close and getting beat down and missing little bunnies, or taking a lot of 3-pointers, like you said, and missing them. It was the right spot. Mike saying Project Truth is a must. Fred Van Vliet knows it. Laughing my fucking ass. Yeah, Fred Van Vliet is very much on the side of Project Truth and being about the truth, because this man is like, this is the real life, and he's living the truth because he had to live the truth to overcome everything and get to where he is right now. And I love it. Fred's such a real one. And that interview, if you guys have not watched Fred's post game interview from last night, go watch it. It'll just make you love him even more. Just the way he's so no bullshit and just telling it like it is to those reporters. And he really does. He handles the thing with Twitter and Scottie. He handles the stuff like with him. And then the relationship with him and Kyle when they're talking about it is hilarious. What he's saying about that, really good. Monique saying, was Scottie on Twitch last night? No, he never did get on Twitch last night. I thought he might, but maybe he was just really tired, and maybe he just didn't feel like it. I think he might go on today though. So Monique, be ready this afternoon. It could be any time between 3 and 10, as I said earlier. Nako saying East is tough, but I see Miami missing the playoffs before us. Oh, for sure. For sure. They're in trouble. Because this is the thing. How many guys do they have out for them right now? Sure, they have like maybe 4. But are they as much caliber and as important as our guys that are out right now? I don't know. It may be kind of comparable in some ways, but I think we have much worse with who we have out with PASCAL being out. I mean, I'd say, but Bam versus PASCAL and their importance, I don't know. I think PASCAL is a little bit more important to the Raptors in some ways. And then Tyler Hero versus Precious and Otto and everybody else that we had out, Gary Trent Jr. versus Tyler Hero straight up. Yeah, I'd pick Gary Trent Jr. So in some ways, we were missing way more than they were. And we looked like we were still had more depth and more quality in our team. And that is a big difference in what is going to be for them as the haul of the year goes on, is they're going to miss guys and their talent is going to drop off. They have no size. They're going to get bullied. They're going to be relying on aged vets like Lowry, Butler, and Adebayo is not very aged, but he looks like it sometimes, even though he's younger. That they're going to have real problems competing over the whole course of the year, and by the end of the year, they may be very much struggling just to get in the play-in. So I think that you're right, Nako. The East is tough, and Miami is not as good as they were last year. They're in big trouble this year. Them losing PJ Tucker was way worse than they thought. Way worse than they thought. All right, let's keep going with the great comments and the great long marathon reaction live streams that we always do after great wins and losses. We are here also. We will come here even when we lose. All right, let's see. All right, I want to see what else. All right, I jumped. I'm trying to find my place again. I see some of the comments just real quick, and they make me laugh because you guys are so funny. You guys have such good personalities, and they're different, and I really love seeing some of the stuff y'all say. Is hilarious. All right, let's see. Sue saying, last night in postgame, Fred said he loves to play against Kyle, and Kyle said he hates playing against Fred. That made me laugh. So much respect for Kyle. Yeah, Kyle was funny in his post game because he really was really giving us a lot of credit and a lot of compliments. He said that this Toronto team is really good and that it's fun to come back here and play against them. And that, yeah, you really blame the rebounding, the problems with this, and there's different problems with this team. But it really was, he was allotting and talking very positive things about the Raptors for most of his post-game conference last night. And so was Spoelstra. Spoelstra was very complimentary about us also. Sue saying Twitter is horrible. I just can't do it. It's too much. Yeah, I'm really cutting down on the voices I listen to from Twitter at this point. There were some ones that I was like, oh, these people are funny. They're good fans. They're kind of jokey. But when they started losing and not doing well, they really kind of were like assholes. Then kind of they stabbed them in the back during that time. I'm like, y'all are not real ones if you're going to be like this when they're losing. I understand. Yeah, you want to be fun and have funny jokes and stuff, but not at the detriment of our team. We're trying to build them up. Hugh saying Raptors are 5-0 when Khem Birch plays. That's the most important stat. That is an interesting stat. This is something we've talked about a lot recently. Like, what did Khem do last night? He played for 7 minutes. He was 1 of 2 from the field. He got 1 offensive rebound. He got 1 assist, 1 steal. He was a +2, 2 points. Like, people will look at that and they'll be like, he sucks. We should trade him. We should put him in a trade package with Malachi Flynn for Miles Turner. That's the kind of shit they will start saying. Well, Khem, it is very true. The stat is we have a crazy win percentage when he is just present in the game. And he doesn't even have to play that much. That's what Matt and Alvin were talking about in the middle of the game. Like, Khem may come in, he may only play like 7 minutes a game, but that stretch of time, for some reason, he brings something into the game and brings a feel, brings some sort of energy, does certain things that kind of changes the tide of the game in certain subtle ways that people don't actually realize. In fact, the best word for Khem Birch may be the word anchor. Anchor. That he is heavy, that he's bulky, that he's big, and he does certain things with that bulk on the court to really help us win, whether it's setting screens, whether it's taking up space in the lane, whether it's just being annoying. In fact, we talked about this recently. Remember, we talked about, well, if somebody's going to be coming to the lane, like in Oklahoma City game last Friday, we were not stopping them. They had an open door. They were walking right through and just laying it in or dunking it. Well, we want to have the Oakley policy. You come into our paint, you're trying to score on us, we're going to put you on the floor. Well, Khem Birch did that last night. If you noticed, there was a time when he was in the court, they were trying to go at the basket, and every time they got near the basket, Khem would hit them. He'd get a foul called on him, and they'd be laying on the floor, and they'd miss the shot. He made sure they didn't make the shot and get an and one, but he also made sure they didn't get good feelings from getting an easy, close basket. And that's what we're talking about here, is that Charles Oakley attitude about defense in the paint. You're going to come into my paint, I'm going to put you on the floor. And Khem Birch does that, and he does it in a subtle way that's very effective. And if you really pay attention, if you see the minutes he played last night, you'll see the 2 plays I'm talking about, where the Heat went to the basket. It looked like they were going to get a layup, but somehow they didn't make the layup, and they were on the floor. Yes, Khem Birch. And I love that record. 5-0 with Khem Birch in the lineup. Well, we need to be playing him every day. He can't be hurt. We need to even we just play him 1 minute. Keep that stat going. Fun guy saying Scotty's struggling, sure, but those Twitter fuckers really disappointing me. Even our own fan base, shaking my head. I know. What's the point, y'all? Seriously, what's the point? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And there's no reason to do this. No reason to do this. Don't doubt Scottie. He told me to tell y'all that. Stop doubting him. He is good. He's going to be great. He's going to be so great. And you guys are going to look so stupid later on that you even doubted him. No doubting him. Don't doubt our team. Don't doubt our guys. Don't doubt Doughton. Don't doubt any of them. No doubting or any of them. Kareem Thomas is saying, fuck Twitter. Jimmy Fallon is dead on the media app, but is alive and well in real life. Yeah, this Jimmy Fallon thing's hilarious. And it really is a Twitter showing Elon that he's an idiot and that he can't control them and that they're making Jimmy Fallon's life miserable by saying that he's dead. In some ways, I think this is hilarious, and he's the perfect person for them to do this to. There's not a lot of people they could get away with this and then make it in good taste. Well, Jimmy Fallon's one of them, for sure. Jimmy Fallon's a scumbag, trust me. Like, in real life, he's a scumbag. I know people have met him in real life, and he's an asshole. So I love that he's getting this treatment and that it's causing so much confusion, and it's having so many waves of positive things around it because it's really making Elon look stupid, too. So there you go. You go, rest in peace, Jimmy Fallon hashtaggers. You go and you keep going. And I love how you're getting it wrong. You're like putting Jimmy Kimmel's face up and you're saying rest in peace, Jimmy Fallon. Hilarious trolling. And good job, Twitter trolls. I like general Twitter trolls that are trolling Elon, but I don't like the trolls that troll our team. Yeah, there we go. Forgetful's here. Oh, saw you last night, Forgetful. Good to see you last night. And I'm glad you're here this morning. Hey, folks, hit the like button. This channel deserves a bigger audience. Thank you, Forgetful. Well, we're a snowball. We're coming down the hill, and we will grow in time. Trust me. We have grown already. I mean, it's happening. Last year at this time, I maybe had 4 people in here with me. Well, right now I've got over 30. And that is the growth. It's maybe small and over time, but the real ones will find me and stick. And we will be doing this a long time. Trust me, I am planning to do a live stream for the rest of my life. So you guys can expect the Raptor Freak for a long time. So we'll see where we're at in like 2 or 3 years from now. I'm developing. And we can see where we're at with the channel over time. But I appreciate you coming in and remembering us, Forgetful, because I saw you last night. You said, oh, yeah, Raptor Freak channel. Maybe I need to come check them out tomorrow. And I'm glad you came in. Nameless is saying, Fred said the same thing to me as me. Judging SB right now is ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It's so crazy. Oh, my gosh. Patrick Douglas is saying, Lex, I hope you're off Twitter. No reason to be on there. Let's say it loud and often. We love our team and our organization. They represent us. High work ethic with class. Yes, Patrick Douglas. Yes. Yes, that's right. You know, with Masai Ujiri, and he sets a tone of our organization. In some ways, as Raptor fans, we have to have a certain standard because we represent that team also. Now, sure, we've been sullied by people saying, oh, you cheered for Kevin Durant getting hurt. You've done this, you've done that, you horrible Raptors fan nation. Well, you know, in some ways, the characteristics of the Raptors fan nation is very much very like mirroring the Raptors organization the way we do have class. We do have a conscience. We're very, very, very politically minded people that give a shit. And we don't mind getting involved in politics like the Raptors do. So there are a lot of things that mirror us and them. And one of them is maybe a more higher level of commitment to excellence and doing good things. And we can put that and apply that in our everyday lives. I don't care what you do out there. If you take joy in it and you take pride in doing it well and doing it correctly, you are like the Raptors organization. It doesn't matter if you're coming to get my garbage that's sitting on the curb right now. It doesn't matter if you're making subs at Subway or Bullway. If you do it right and you do it with a style and a dedication and a certain level of excellence, you're like the Raptors organization. So apply that to your job today. But don't do it at a job where you're being exploited as a wage slave to get a whole bunch of profits for your person there. Go ahead and loaf. Quiet, quit if you have to. But if it's a job where you are very well compensated and you do a good job and you excel in all kinds of ways, you go ahead. I won't blame you, though, if you fuck the dog and don't try very hard because you're in a bad situation at your job, though. There's a lot of that, too. All right, let's keep going. Hot Take Jay has another hot take. Can't judge Scottie too hard. Life has ups and downs, and so does basketball. He will be fine. Yes, it's so silly. He's 21 years old. He is learning. Everything's going to be fine. Nameless saying, that was pretty good Italian this morning. Lex, you're improving. You said, let's go, people. Awesome. So I got good marks for my Italian lesson this morning from Nameless. There's a little bit of Italian learning here, and I appreciate it. I really do. I want to be more well-rounded. Sue's saying we shut Strus down in the second half. He had 15 at the half, and I was getting concerned about him because he had 31 in previous game, but he only ended up with 20 at the end of the game. Strus is very deadly, and with Hero not there, he has way more of that burden to be that kind of scorer guy and pick it up. In fact, there was some things about Strus I saw last night that I didn't realize he had in his powers, that he can actually elevate and dunk. I didn't think he could dunk. Like, he just looked like a little guy who could shoot, but he was actually attacking the basket and kind of throwing it down a little bit. And I was impressed by him. He was a little scary for a little bit in the game last night. It looked like he might get going and really hurt us. Him and Jovic in the beginning of the game were very scary and annoying. I didn't like seeing the rookie do so well at the beginning of the game. And then Gabe Vincent was annoying later on. He was hitting some big shots and just kind of playing really gritty, gutsy kind of play. Dedmon 4 for 4 from the field. He was annoying. He was their only big presence down low. But once we hit him in the nuts, he was ineffective. And it was so weird because, like, he was laying on the ground for so long with his face towards the floor. It was like everybody made a lot of jokes about Dedmon being dead because he looked like he was dead from getting a nut shot. Yeah, he got a nut shot. He definitely did. Caleb Martin was annoying at times. I don't think the fans gave it to him as much as they could have as far as boos last night. I think that we kind of have forgiven him to a degree, or maybe people just don't care. Maybe he's just not that known enough, or that there's not enough fans that were like, that is bullshit what happened with Koloko. Maybe it is because he apologized and he felt really bad about how it all happened, that we kind of let him off the hook with giving him kind of the business for the incident with Koloko in Miami, which I'm okay with. It's not like a dragage thing. In some ways, Martin, we need to watch him though, because he does have a pattern, it seems like, of trying to hurt or be like kind of fucked up around our players with Scottie and Koloko. But you know what? He's getting a pass for now. Duncan Robinson was awful coming off the bench, 0 for 2. He was just like this dude just running around there. He was getting cardio last night, as they like to put it on Scottie's 2K games. He was just getting cardio. And then, yeah, Jimmy, really quiet game. And yeah, this is pretty good. They didn't have a lot of players to lean on. And then that rookie Kane came in and he was awful. Kane messed up every which way and all he was doing out there, whether it was bad fouls, turnovers, whatever Kane was doing for them. Their rookie that came in, he was really bad. He hurt them. He really did. Let's see. Mike saying Spanish, Viva Totas. Viva Totas! Let's go, everyone. Viva Totas. Yeah, we'll do all the languages. I can try and learn all these languages. Jimmy Pope saying, great game, flexing our muscles. Scott Wayne. Yes, very good stuff. Flexing our bench muscles. I like it. Monique saying 6-1 at home cooking. Nothing better. Keep going. Let's go. Yes, I love that we have such a good home record right now. We have one of the best home records in the NBA right now, and we want to continue to protect the home, protect the North. And well, we go to Atlanta, play in Atlanta on Saturday night, but then we get a bunch of games at home. We have a whole bunch of home games coming up. And it's really interesting how many home games we got. This is good. Forgetful is saying a great interview yesterday with Coach David Thorpe on Will Lose Raptors show. Honestly, one of the best takes I've seen this year. Ooh, there's a heads up. I have not heard this, so I'll have to check it out. Coach David Thorpe. All right, well, check out the Raptors show with Will Lou and Alex Wong. They had a really good one yesterday, apparently, that Forgetful saying. I'll probably watch it after this. Guardian saying Thad playing like a beast. That just playing like what we need, everything. I love that Fred said this. This is kind of something I said the other day too, is like, he said, for young players, you want to learn how to play in the NBA, just watch that. That's what Fred said. That was a direct quote from him. He just said, just tell the young players, just watch Thaddeus, because he's doing everything fundamentally right. He does all the little things correctly. Listen, he can't be training his kids to be great basketball players if he's not going to train them fundamentally correct. And he's got to walk the walk and talk the talk. He can't be unfundamentally correct on the NBA level if he's going to expect his young boys to be as good as, being fundamentally correct. If he's not being fundamentally correct, what is this? Like, do as I say and not as I do? No, he's going to do what he's saying. So he better be fundamentally correct on the NBA level. And that in some of the things he's doing in the post moves, the way he passes out of the high post, we talked about recently, really good stuff, and stuff that Scottie needs to mimic directly is Thaddeus's low post stuff. And then that high post vision that he has to, like Marc Gasol, to kind of direct traffic or get a really cool pass out of the blue. There was some really cool thread in the needle, really awesome passes that were done last night. The lobs by Fred in particular. But there were still some really good finding guys on cuts in different places last night. And this is a trend that we're having recently. This is something we didn't do enough last year. Sure, Yuta, from time to time, we'd find him on cuts. Scottie'd find him and he'd get a basket real quick. But our guys aren't cutting enough off ball. And, well, it's happening more now. And they're getting rewarded by passers like Thaddeus and Fred and Scottie, because they're finding them when they do get loose and they get cut through. Now, there's interesting thing also that the defenses against us are very tough, and they're doing the same kind of thing that we're doing to them, where we don't let them get shots where they want to have them. So they basically got to take the shot wherever the daylight allows it to. In fact, one of the things they did to Fred last night was they wouldn't let him take threes at one point, forced him off the three-point line. So he'd have to step into the three-point line a little bit and take the little jumper. And that's very calculated. But that is sometimes what you got to do if the defensive pressure is so intense like we do to them. You got to take whatever little bit of daylight and shot that you get the opportunity to, because that may be the only good shot that you get on the shot clock. And you can't always decide where that spot is. And it may not be in your favorite spot or anything. And that's really the defense trying to direct you to somewhere where you don't want to be necessarily. And that's why it's really important to make those shots, even if they were like, oh man, well, why didn't he just take a three? Well, the three was not given to him, and he had to take the shot that they gave him with the very little bit of daylight that they had. Now, this is more descriptive of what we're doing to other teams, but Miami did this to us a bit last night where their defensive pressure was so tough. We just had to take the first little bit of daylight that they offered us on our offense. All right, let's keep going. Mike's saying forgetful facts and drop my master theory in the vibes. I wasn't supposed to let that tiger out of the bag there. Big error on my part. Someone definitely going to steal my Scottie mold theory. Man, no, even if people steal something or anything, listen, everybody can sing the same damn song, but it can sound very different from each voice. So don't worry about this. It's not like anything is proprietary. You have a good idea. It could be that there's another person out there that has it already, independent of you, that thought of it also. This is like, great minds think alike. So don't worry about this kind of stuff, people stealing stuff, and say it in your own true voice. It won't matter, is really what it is. All right, let's see. Cool Cat saying, love that we are developing our own stars. PASCAL, OG, Fred, Scottie. No need to trade for Shy. That ship has sailed. Scottie's our point guard. Yeah, SGA thing could happen later on, like later in his career, but I don't think it's anytime soon. At least not on this contract with Oklahoma City at this point. Fun Guy saying, I'm sorry, guys, but this Shea stuff is outrageous. Guy is on another team. Gary is our only core piece. I give up for him. Yeah, it is outrageous, and it just needs to stop. It's like so stupid. And we lost to Oklahoma City. We were humiliated by them on Friday night. And the Oklahoma City Twitter fans came after us saying Scottie is unhappy and he needs to be moved to here. And so same exact shit we're doing to them with SGA, and we deserved it. And we look bad. I don't like how we're dealing with this SGA shit in Raptors Nation. Y'all need to just put it to rest and stop making the rest of us look so bad with your thirst. You're disgusting with how you're throwing yourself at him, some of y'all Raptor fans. Can y'all just have some dignity, some pride, some respect for yourselves, and not be so thirsty for a player on another team? As Nick Nurse said, I shall not covet another player on another team. That is a tenement that he believes as a head coach, that he doesn't go coveting other players. Just because he coached them in Team Canada and they enjoy their relationship together doesn't mean he's trying to get him on the Raptors. And that's a really bad way of thinking, is like coveting other players on other teams and making schemes in your head about how, when I get him on my team, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to do. Well, that's how some fans are thinking. Nick Nurse ain't thinking about that way, because he believes in not coveting other players on other teams that are on contract. And I wish more fans would think that way also. All right, let's see. Not gonna lie, Open Gym Chat is owned by the Raptor Freak Nation for sure. Well, at least the regulars, the ones that care, the real ones, they're showing up, of course. Monique saying, Shy who? Nada, no thanks. Nope. Been to 8 games so far. Love what I'm seeing. 9 and 7 of the season. Wow, Monique, you are all over. Monique, you've already been to 8 games this season? Holy crap. Wow. You go, Monique. And you are good luck for us, because our home record is so good right now. You keep going to games. You keep going. Nako saying Delano runs faster in person than he does on TV. There were some Raptor fans in front of us. One Detroit fan behind us kept yelling at Ivy to shoot no matter when he had it. I mean, that must have been fun in that building. The atmosphere looked fantastic on TV. And I love that y'all chanted for OG during the game. Some Raptor fans here were like, why aren't we chanting OG at the games like they did? OG, OG. Maybe we need to start doing that in Scotiabank Arena, because they're doing it at Little Caesars. And it sounded so good. It really did. When they started chanting OG, it sounded so good. You guys did so good. You guys really were an MVP of the game on Monday. You brought that right energy. You really cheered them right. And you annexed that fucking building. Y'all annexed it. You said, this is Canadian soil tonight. You go, Nacho the Nacho. And like I said, if you go to another game in Detroit, the next game later on the season, please take a picture of yourself at the game, and I'll use it as the thumbnail. That'll be a new thing on this channel. If you're at the game and you have a picture of you at the game, I'll use it as a thumbnail. If you're a Raptor Freak regular and you're always here. Mike saying that 21-0 run got the crowd up and going, laughing my fucking ass off. That's good. Yeah, it woke them up. They needed maybe a little perking up. Sue saying, it was frustrating to see how few seats were filled as the game started, and I was lucky. My friend who gave me tickets was in 115, great seats. A couple in front of me came late and left after the third, shaking my head. Yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm really glad you were on the lower bowl. I saw in that picture that you sent me. I was like, wow, Sue's kind of sitting where we sat together in the second half of the game that we were at together. So that's fantastic. I'm glad you were down there. And what can we do? We can only control ourselves. We can only be the role model that we are for it. And hopefully more and more people will be like us over time. And it is what it is. The corporate seats, tickets, there are people that don't really care about basketball. They're really just there to just go for entertainment and just to be a part of something and be in the building. They're not fans necessarily. They're more people that just like to have things to do. Stuff like that. Nako's saying, if you're an NBA player, you're one of the absolute best players in the world. Exactly. Who are we to criticize or tell them, oh, they should be better? Scottie, you should be better. Who the fuck am I to say that to him? Oh my gosh. Monique saying, the sad part about Delano is playing so good in one game and then gets injured the next. I couldn't look. It's too bad. It is a tough time for this to happen. Malachi's had similar problems where he gets up there and he's playing really a lot all of a sudden, playing very well, and then boom, he gets hurt and he misses time. It's kind of similar to that. I hope this isn't that long. We can't afford to get more of these guys hurt like this. This is really, really bad because we have way too many injuries right now. But if we keep winning, hey, at least we're sailing through it all right. For the most part. Duke saying, I was impressed with Freddie's passing last night, specifically his timing and hitting the cutter in stride. My boy was throwing darts. Yeah, it's like, can we just let him be a guard? We don't have to say what part of the guard he's playing at any time, and it may change. He's a point guard in this play. He's a shooting guard on this play. I really think that position designation is just out the window with the Raptors at this point. Positionless has ruined it. With having so many skilled big 6'9" guys that can do so many things, we shouldn't even have positions anymore. We have elevated ourselves over the level of even thinking about the mentality of point guard, shooting guard, small forwards, power forward, center. Fucking throw those out the window. We've transcended the old NBA positional way of thinking. And this is just basically, you got 5 guys on the court and they're playing. It's not anything like this is the point guard on our team now, because it switches so fluidly throughout the game. And Fred's passing was amazing. And I hope that kind of quieted some of the people that are like, he's so selfish. He's not a good passer. He's not a good point guard. There's been a little bit of that noise this year. And that is not the case. We saw him throwing amazing lobs last night. These are not easy passes to make. And he is a point guard. But let's not give him a designation of anything. It may make people mad that we're saying he's the point guard. He's the shooting guard. Okay, he's a shooting guard. I heard he's a shooting guard, y'all. Let's see. Tom Duke saying, Duke, that lob pass to OG was spot on over Dedmon. It was fantastic. And it really was a great read. And it really was this kind of thing. Like, I am familiar with OG. I know his limitations. I know what he's capable of. And I'm going to give it to him in a way that he will be successful on that lob. That's half of what is important about a lob, is you want to get him in a successful position to make it. And that's not always easy with people jumping and people being around them and everything. You really got to pinpoint it. And they are darts. That is a very good description of what they're doing. Tom Duke saying, was wondering how his back was caused. Fred looked stiff near the end of the game. Well, he's definitely doing ice on his knees. He's got a thing on his back when he's sitting on the bench. So yeah, he's hurt. He's beat up. And, that's just a wear and tear in the grind. But hopefully this week, having so many days off, these guys can recoup and maybe get some good energy and good health. Some of the guys back, some of the nagging injuries that guys have been playing, maybe they heal up a little bit better over the course of the next week. Really, with just one game in Atlanta, easy trip. That's such an easy flight from Toronto to Atlanta. I've done it myself many times. And come back. And most of this time is here in Toronto. So they can really get some time to re-energize. And that's really important right now. Lolita's saying, can you please tell me how many games missed officially before a player can't be awarded MVP? Well, there's no there's no hard and fast rule to this. There's no actual like rule. Oh, you missed 20 games, you can't be MVP. I don't know. I don't really know what the threshold is. I would say historically is maybe like 12 or 20 games you can miss. And maybe after that, it's kind of like, I don't know. I know you're worried about the MVP race for Pascal because he's out right now. But this isn't something totally we can control in any kind of way. So it's not worth worrying about. We're going to just have to let him be out when he is. And hopefully his body work this year will be enough and be impressive enough that he can be in the running. I think Pascal being MVP is unrealistic in some ways, that he just doesn't have that kind of talk. In some ways, to be an MVP, you have to be in the conversation for a couple years and then kind of jump into it. It's not like some Johnny come lately into the conversation comes in and then all of a sudden they elevate him. It's almost like Pascal has to play at this level for like 2 or 3 years, and then maybe he may be very strongly considered as being an MVP. As you look at Embiid, he's not getting them. Jokic is beating him over for him. Luka is somebody up there that could honestly get MVPs at some point, but he's not really won any yet himself. And then you got Giannis. Giannis is always involved in that conversation, and rightfully so. So I don't know. I think that still we should be aiming for him to get all NBA, and that we shouldn't be too worried about him getting MVP particularly. Like, sure, it'd be wonderful. We'd love it to happen, but I don't think it's very realistic, even if he's playing as one of the top 5 players in the league. They'll give it to one of those other guys. They'll give it to Giannis way before they'll give it to Pascal. And it's just partly because he's already been up there for a while. And, they are going to slide him at every level that he gets to, Pascal. They're going to slide him just a little bit. That's why I'm saying he's got to do this for like 2 or 3 years. And he'll be in the MVP conversation for a couple of years. And then finally, maybe he'll break through and get one. Duke saying on the money, Tom, the best I've seen him pass the ball. Yeah, Tom, Fred was really sharp last night. Rahul saying your thoughts about Shea. He's fantastic. I mean, honestly, it's crazy. Like some of the things he's doing in his games right now are just other level. He's got such far out range. And then he's got his crazy hops. He has these hops like Jalen Green that I was describing the other day. Like he defies gravity. He's kind of like he floats. Like, is he like levitating like Chris Angel would be doing? Because like he's kind of like he defies gravity. Like I don't understand it. He gets up there and then he kind of floats around and then he dunks it. It's amazing. And his stat lines are absolutely impressive. Like if you look at all the stat lines he's had for the season, they're all like 30 points, this many rebounds, this many assists. A top-notch player in this league, honestly. So good. And him and Morant are very similar in some ways, like with what they're doing in some ways. I get them confused sometimes, to be honest, because they are kind of similar players in different ways. Let's see. Monique saying one step closer to seeing Pascal and Precious on the court every day. Boy, does Daddy ever know how to take care of his body. Wow. Just wow. Thad's wife is so cheerful. I love seeing like Thad's wife and Khem's mom on Twitter, and they're very much like they were on the refs too. They tell you all kinds of funny things. Their opinions are very interesting to see. It's kind of fun to see these loved ones of players like Thad's mom, no, not Thad's wife, Khem's mom, Fred's wife. They're all always chiming in with tweets and saying different things. And sometimes their observations are really interesting to see, like Jordan Bolton for Gary, different people that their loved ones and close to the players, that when they chime in, they can say stuff and be off filter. And sometimes it's really funny what they're saying. Let's see. Duke saying, speaking of a hit job, I was getting annoyed by the ref, John Goebel. I was saying he should be investigated. A few minutes later, he called the cheap foul on Thad where Nurse blows a gasket. Locked on Heat, surprisingly, we're also annoyed by the refs. They said the Raps were getting cheap calls in the first half. Second half, all the calls went against the Heat. Yeah. And that's interesting that they actually say we got cheap calls called on us, that they were fair enough to say that. I'm sure they're real upset with him. I mean, listen, John Goebel is from Miami, straight up. They may be thinking, why isn't he helping us more? Well, he is really trying to call it down the line. There are a lot of Miami refs in the league right now. It's weird. Like there were a lot of Philadelphia refs in the past, but it seems like there's more that are from like Florida origin, either Miami or Orlando. And, that's this fishy thing. It's like, why do we have a Miami ref in this game? Why? If Miami's involved, I don't know. It's so weird. I mean, he's really trying to be on the up and up, and we won, so we can't be too upset. Now, Goebel, I was really watching him closely. And in the beginning, it really did look like he was doing some shitty shit to us. And I was going to say that, but he evened it out by the end of the game. And I can't be too upset. Locked on Heat were very annoyed. I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. They lost. Of course, they're annoyed. Seymour saying Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. That's a really interesting interview with Kevin Durant that came out yesterday, and he's really being completely honest. Now, I understand why he would be upset. Now, you know what it is? It really is the checkers versus chess kind of argument. It sounds like the Brooklyn Nets practice is very much just like go do like run around and play and not really running drills or learning plays. It's like very elementary, the one that they were doing with Steve Nash. I don't know if that was totally a knock on Steve Nash or very symptomatic of the vets on their team being like, we don't need to be coached by anyone. We don't need a coach. We can play on our own. That's what Kyrie said in the beginning when they got Steve Nash. Well, it could very well be that their practices weren't really a lot like Raptors practices, whereas like Nick Nurse is probably going through such detail in plays and scenarios and like all kinds of schemes that like our players really feel informed and prepared and very ready for the game. Well, it sounds like they ain't doing jack shit in the Nets in their practices. They're basically just doing shoot arounds and they're not actually like doing like scheme practices where they're learning plays or like situational stuff. They're not doing any of that kind of shit. And they're kind of just coasting on the talent of Durant and Irving to like carry them to wins and their like veteranness and their time. It's really weird. And that I understand why Kevin would have this gripe and be upset with the Nets for not having their shit together and being like a normal team and like playing like with scenarios and schemes and stuff in practice, that he would be frustrated with that. And that's kind of where the basis of him being unhappy with the team was this summer, is that he realized his team is playing checkers while the Raptors are playing chess in their practices, that these dudes are just shooting around and feeling good, but they're not really building anything for things that you need to win in games. That he may be just willing them to win games on his offensive potential and talent, that who he is. So that's pretty crazy. So Seymour saying Brooklyn, laugh out loud, is a mess. Fans are turning on Kraft Dinner because he said his teammates are losers. And they had a players only meeting about Ben. Nets are trash. Looks like their logo too. The net. Yeah, well, this is true. That's hilarious. Yeah, too. The trash can looks like their logo. He didn't exactly say that, but in some ways he did. That his teammates just are not to the same level as other teams, and he really is kind of making it sound like he does covet playing for the Raptors. Some of the things that he said that the Nets are lacking are things that very much we have. So you can winders this into like logic of thinking, well, he's basically saying he doesn't like the way the Nets are run and that he likes maybe other teams how they're run, and the Raptors may be one of them. But yeah, this is interesting that they are such a dumpster fire and that Kevin's being so outspoken. But I think he's in a good place. At least what he's saying right now, he's like, he's okay. He's happy with where it is now. He likes Jacques Vaughn as being the coach because he's maybe doing some of the stuff that I just talked about that they were lacking in their practice. Maybe finally now there's some structure in their practice towards like winning concepts and winning situations so that Kevin can get some help. Because basically all he's doing is crying out for some help. He doesn't feel like his teammates will help him, or they're being coached in a way for them to be successful to try and help him. And he probably is right. He's probably really damn right. And think about what we're talking about right now with Kevin, and think about that one game last year where he beat us with like the end of their bench. And it really is a testament to just how good of an NBA player he is in his career and what he's done, that he was able to beat our team last year in a very close game with very much like the end of the bench guys. It was like him and some G leaguers. That's very impressive and a testament to his greatness. But yeah, their logo does look like a trash can, and they are in the trash can for sure. Nameless is saying our whole roster is so huge; they all look like the same size as their biggest player, Deadman. I know that's really imposing. That's really tough to deal with. And like I said earlier this week, I love that we lose some players and we don't lose size. That in the history of the NBA, you lose a couple players. Well, sometimes you lose some aspects about your team. They go away because these key players are really big part of that. Like Bam Adebayo, them missing Bam Adebayo last night was a huge void a huge hole in their team that nobody else on that team can replicate or step into and try and fill. Meanwhile, we got people like we lose PASCAL, OG stepping into his shoes. We lose Precious and Wancho's stepping into his shoes all of a sudden. So we got people that kind of step into shoes when guys are missing. And that's really a strength that we didn't lose any size or toughness down near the basket, even though we're missing Precious, Otto, Gary, PASCAL, Delano later in the game. Lolita saying at Sue, yes, I noticed the empty seats when the game started. It's a shame. I was thinking there's something wrong to that picture. Well, part of it is they've been losing recently. So Fairweather fan is kind of turned off the TV and they may think that they're shitty. And with all the injuries, like PASCAL being out, it's not as attractive to people to get to the game. And that's part of what is the factoring in why people get there late. And then also another part of it is it's a Wednesday night and it's the middle of the week. And some people may be like lackadaisical about getting down there from work on time. So there's a lot of different factors that add into why the lower bowl is not as filled in the first quarter. And I think it has to do with Fairweather fans not realizing the Raptors are still good in their injuries and they've been losing lately. So they're like, I don't want to go to the game. They've been losing lately. Why would I want to go see them lose the Miami Heat in person? Or they don't realize they're actually still really good and they are winning. So it's like just uneducated fans not realizing where they're really at and just seeing like they're struggling right now and like, oh, I don't want to be there. It's part of it. It's part of it that. Monique saying, guys, I bought the Mitchell and Ness newest OVO 1995 hat. Good pricing for me. Awesome, Monique. Yeah, you rock that drip. Monique is always dripped out with the swag. I'm telling you, she has it. She has it. She can get that level of Gary Trent kind of drip. Look out. And I watched the Precious Achua. What are you wearing? What do you wear? Clip from yesterday. Fantastic advertisement for Holt Renfrew. But it's fun to see Precious's like thinking and what he wants to wear for his clothes. And that little game that they were playing where he picks like vintage for game day coming in. What would he wear? And I love one quote from that clip that I really love from that is he says he has a passion for fashion. So y'all realize that Precious Achua has a passion for fashion. He said that and I was laughing. He's got a passion for fashion. Duke Rocks is saying, as per Fred, the only guy tricking the refs was Lowry, laugh out loud, especially that rip-through foul late in the fourth. Yeah, if Lowry's going to do his little things, like they were pointing out, like the call was ambiguous about who it went out of bounds on, and he just like wanted to hurry up and get the balls in bound for the Miami Heat. So there's no question or time for them to overturn it and put it back. That is very much smart veteran stuff. That is the kind of stuff I miss about Lowry being on our team. He can game the game to a degree by just being so savvy and smart about different things like that. Like, okay, the refs aren't totally sure where the ball's going out. Well, before they get together and talk about it, give me the ball. I'm going to put it in. Lowry, you smart ass. You're so awesome. Nameless saying SGA would cost us a Canadian premium. They'd charge us more to have that novelty in TO. Yeah, no, Presty would take us to the cleaners. He would absolutely, like, it wouldn't be worth it. After you see what Presty would ask from us for him, you'd be like, you're fucking joking, right? You are greedy, man. And he'd be like, no, he's our best player. This is what we got to do. That's the reason why Masai has not dealt with Sam Presti. So keep holding your breath on this SGA stuff because it ain't going to happen unless SGA decides it and it's a contract and he's a free agent. It ain't going to happen by trade. So everybody's thinking, oh, he's going to get traded to us, and it ain't going to fucking happen. So give it up on that pipe dream. There's no way we're trading for SGA, and he's under contract for how many years? So we shouldn't be talking about him being on Toronto until at least he's coming up on free agency. Seriously, y'all. Rahul saying, we all know that Masai will sign Freddie for 4 years and PASCAL when the opportunity presents himself. Excuse me. If SGA demands a trade or becomes a free agent, Masai will strike a deal for SGA. I don't know if that's exactly true. I mean, there's no guarantees. In some ways, just like OG said in the bubble, I don't shoot to miss when he made that shot against the Celtics. Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri aren't drafting or bringing guys to their team to miss. And that Fred's not a miss. PASCAL's not a miss. And that means you don't throw them away. You continue to develop them and get the really great rewards out of nothing. An undrafted guy, a guy who's drafted late in the first round. These guys are giving so much returns. in so many good ways as coming from nowhere. It's not like a first round pick or that kind of thing. It's really, I mean, like a lottery pick. These guys are guys that were made out of nothing into something. And there's so much intrinsic value in just their path being from nowhere and them being so good and where they're at, that in some ways holding on to the assets of Fred and PASCAL is just really, really smart, because you've accrued so much good interest in building them up that you're getting all the rewards and gains from it at this point. So why would you get rid of somebody who's like such a good deal or something that you just made out of nothing? The logic of that to me is just really stupid. Is that you build something up and you made something out of nothing, and then you want to go sell the house for like nothing? That doesn't make totally sense to me as far as with those two guys in particular. Even if it's somebody like SGA or Durant or Luka, I don't give a shit who it is. These guys are puzzle pieces that fit our puzzle. And those may be really pretty puzzle pieces, but they may not fit with what we're trying to do in the scheme of things. And as I said, these guys don't draft to miss. They don't sign to miss. They don't sign extension contracts to miss with players, just like OG doesn't shoot to miss. And making a big deal like this and switching it around kind of signifies, okay, maybe we made a mistake when we got this person. We've been investing in them for so long. I don't know, maybe my logic is a little flawed, but there is something to what I'm saying right here about it. Duke Rocks is saying, I honestly believe Scottie is nursing that ankle. He looked better last night, but previous games, his lateral quickness seemed a bit slower. He looked good guarding Lowry. He's slower because Lowry's slower. He looked good guarding him. Yeah. Okay, well, we really put his ankle under a microscope. And, well, I mean, listen, I don't disagree that his ankle probably is hurt to a degree. But I want to believe my guys. And I don't think they lie to me, whether it's Nick Nurse or Scottie, and they're saying everything's fine. So who knows? It may be they're lying, and there is a problem, and they just don't want to give people stuff to talk about or excuses. Maybe that's part of it. He doesn't want an excuse that his ankle's messing him up. He just wants to play well, whether his ankle's hurting him or not. Nameless is saying pensare means to think in Italian. I forgot they speak Italian wherever the hell he's from. Okay, so his name means to think. That's cool. Florida Flex is here. Good to see Florida Flex. Good to see you again. Pensare also goes after PASCAL, suggesting Barnes would be better without them. But it's clear Barnes is a better player when we are fully healthy. It takes the attention away from Scottie. Oh my gosh, this is so true, Florida Flex. This is so true. We've seen how much our guys have struggled without PASCAL and Fred. And this really kind of kills this whole idea that guys take away from others. That like seriously, this is the difference between an abundance and a scarcity mindset. The Pensare is coming from a scarcity mindset. That there's only enough food on the table for a certain amount of mouths to eat. Well, we don't think that way. In an abundance mindset, we think that, you know what, as PASCAL eats and more he eats, there will appear more food on the table for Scottie. There will appear more food on the table for OG. And maybe OG's numbers are going to go down when PASCAL comes back, but that's because he's been carrying water for PASCAL while he's been gone. But that's not something to point at and say, oh, this is hurting OG. No, it's helped OG while he was in the absence, but it gets the benefits of having PASCAL get all the attention also on the court when he's out there too. So the fallacy of thinking that Scottie Barnes would be better off without Fred or PASCAL on there has both been proven in recent weeks. When Fred was out, we saw how we missed him. And now with PASCAL out, we see how much our team struggles in some ways on the offensive end. So he's very much been proven wrong in the recent events in the games recently with the absences of these guys. So good stuff. I love it. Thank you, Florida Flex, for the comment. Monique saying defense wins championships. That's the damn truth. And that's what we're all about, defense and rebounding. And we have role players and the kind of team, the versatile kind of team, the deep kind of team that can make this run, y'all. That's why I want y'all this morning to remember to say 2023 NBA champions, Toronto Raptors, 2023 NBA champions, the Toronto Raptors. Because we got the stew and the ingredients cooking on the stovetop that is going to taste so good and is championship level flavor. And I'm telling you right now, we do have that. We have enough of the good ingredients to flesh out the whole taste of it to make it so much better that if Gordon Ramsay came and tasted that stew, he would say, this is Michelin restaurant level stew. And I'm going to give you a Michelin star. Does he give Michelin stars? Maybe Ramsay should. It'd be like celebrity Michelin star giving or something. I don't know. Susan, I have no time for Panzer. I find him off-putting, and he really got nasty with me when I disagreed with how he talks with his opinions. He tried to discount my take and got very personal attacking. Well, this is apparently one of the things that G's telling me that he's trying to cut down, that he's too argumentative and coming at people. One thing, and this is something that everybody will struggle with in their life, is their own ego and understanding that sometimes it isn't best to be right. And I'm not saying that he was right in anything that he said with you, Sue. He probably wasn't. But sometimes it's not best to be right. It's just best to just be like, okay, whatever. And let your ego just rest in the argument. Sometimes people dig their own holes by standing on that hill and trying to be right. And then Pensera may be digging his own hole in this way that you got to realize that, much like I understand with my interaction with you guys, is that it's a two-way street and you want to be respectful, and even if you disagree with someone, you want to do it in a way that validates their opinion also, but you've kindly agreed to disagree, or there's ways to do this in a civilized way. And content makers need to realize this, that you bite yourself in the foot, you bite your own self in the ass when you turn off people that you want to watch your stuff and interact with you when you are an asshole to them. So, excuse me. So, yeah, Pensera, you were an asshole to Sue, and you've lost her patronage, and very much rightfully so. Hugh's saying Pensera does throw subtle shots at Pascal, but honestly, he could be much worse. He gets some unwarranted hate, in my opinion. There's no need for us to be throwing shade on other content creators. I agree with this too. Also, like I said, you guys I'm not familiar with what he's doing. So I'm not really coming from an educated place with this. I'm just basically echoing some of the things you guys have told me, like what Sue just told me. And I think you're right. This is very true. This is not a contest. I'm not trying to beat anybody at what I'm doing. So I don't see him as a rival or somebody that's I'm against. The only people I'm against are people that sully and put down the Raptors for no reason. And the people that I'm fighting, the public image and the positivity fight for the Raptors. And if he's involved in like negativity and kind of putting him down, then I do have a problem with him. But I like that Hugh's kind of coming in and defending him to a degree. He's not totally that bad, and he could be way worse. And who knows? Maybe he's going to get better with kind of like maybe he learned something in interactions with people recently. And now he may be coming at things with a totally different kind of attitude in some ways. So I hope that's true, and I wish him well. I think he'll do well, and he'll be fine. But once again, I'm not going to go check out his content because I just don't have enough time. I have enough people that I already follow and watch their stuff, and I want to make sure it's good stuff. And I'm not hearing good things about him from you guys. So I'm like, okay, why even bother? Hot take Jay saying he also said Fred and Gary aren't a good backcourt. Laugh out loud. Well, that's just a bad take too. I mean, there's one of the best defensive backcourts in the NBA, and in some ways, they're one of the best three-point shooting backcourts in the NBA also. Nameless pronounced Pensare. I don't know. I'm just going to call him Pensare. I don't care. I don't care. People have butchered my name so much in my entire life. My name is very difficult to say. In fact, I was joking with Adriana this morning because she's graduating from a program that she did this program, and I'm so proud of her, and she has a graduation tonight, and John Tory is giving her diploma. That's how big of a deal it is. But apparently they misspelled her name on the diploma. And I'm like, what the but then I thought back to when I graduated from Florida State, and when they announced my name in graduation ceremony, they got 2 out of my 3 names wrong, and they got my middle name right, and it's the hardest name to do, but they got the Alexi and the odds wrong completely. So I'm used to people getting my name completely wrong. So apologies to David and Peter Saborin and everybody else that I mispronounce your names. I've had that happen to me many times, and I feel your pain. And I should maybe get them right just because of that. But hey, I've been called Alexis so many times in my life. Alexis, it's like whatever. It's all good. All right, let's see. Mike's agreeing with you about Pensare. Seymour saying, who would win in a 1-versus-1 or a Pensare, me or him? On the basketball court? I don't know. How tall is he? Then we got to figure that out first. How old is he and how tall is he? And you know what? If he's shorter than me, I probably will beat his ass. Let's just put it that way, because I do have some post. and I will post the fuck out of him. I will bully ball him just like OG and Scottie will. And I can do that. Trust me. I can do that. I'm not as good at outside shooter anymore. I really, in my older age, I'm like, I want to do things easier. I'm going to do things with my old man strength and just get near the basket and post the hell out of you. That's what I will do if you see me on a blacktop, because I'm 6'4", and I usually can get a height over most guys on the court. And that's what I will be doing. I'll be using my off shoulder, and I'll be putting it over with a one hook and stuff like that. So you come on, Pencer. I just gave you your scouting report. If there's going to be a one-on-one, maybe that's something I'll do. I'll do a challenge to any content creator. You think you know basketball? You think you can play basketball? Fucking play my ass in basketball one-on-one. We'll do one-on-one challenges. I'll take on you, Greg. Come on, Greg. Come on, Mike. Let's play some basketball. I'm going to be the old guy. I know I'll be the old guy in most of the situations, but I still take myself in a lot of these games. Trust me. Oh yeah, you don't understand. My style of play is like Chris Boucher. I'm all out and I am crazy and I do the hard work. I do the blue collar work. I'm not looking for glory. I'm looking for guts and blood and trying to do all the tough stuff that make you win. That's rebounding, playing good defense, just being all over the place. That's what I do when I'm out there. Man, I'm giving too much scouting report though. Let's see. Duke saying, I find Pencer has some interesting takes, things I would never think about. I find him very informative and quite frankly, I see no fault in anything he said. He's not being negative in my opinion. Okay. So Duke's standing up for him. Listen, I want to drop him in the conversation for now. I think we talked about him a lot this week. And especially since he's not somebody that is in my like realm of watching or anything like that. I think we talked enough about him at this point. He's a fair person to some people. Some people think he's a little too negative. And, everybody's going to have different opinions of him and stuff like that. I wish him well. I hope he does well. If people want to play me one-on-one and basketball content makers want to play me one-on-one in basketball, I'll take that challenge every time. So it's out there. Let's go. Nameless is saying, couldn't believe Lowry admitted to watching all our games. If that don't get Heat Nation riled up, nothing will. I don't know. I think that they could be happy about this because it's not even that he's just watching all our games. I think he watches all the NBA games. Apparently, this is what Lowry does. He is checking out everybody all the time. It's just, of course, he's going to be watching us because he has a connection to us and he loves a lot of our players. But he's probably just as much watching, the Brooklyn Nets versus Sacramento Kings game. He's watching everybody because he's just a basketball junkie. And it may be that if he's not playing at that time, he's on the NBA app and he's just switching from game to game and watching every part that he wants to. Because he's a student of the game. He probably wants to know what's going on with all these teams at all times. So in some ways, the Heat Nation may actually be really happy that he's so dedicated that he's learning about everything. But maybe not. You might be right. They may be like reading it into like, why is he watching the Raptors so much? Why is he hugging Masai after the game? Why is he so smiley? We just lost and I'm mad. And he's so happy still. That makes me mad that Lowry's so happy in a loss. So Hugh is agreeing with Duke too. So we have some Pencer stands here, and there's nothing wrong with that. You guys support and like whatever content you want to. I'm not going to be telling you not to. Tom's saying, Baha, Seymour, Lex would bully ball. It's way too easy. Good bet is on me. Well, it's true. Seriously, I have a lot of acumen with basketball. I'm not the most talented, the quickest, or anything like that, but I definitely have the smarts and I definitely have the philosophies and the fundamentals and the understanding of what to do in situations. And I will even tell you something else about me that is a detriment and I have against me. I have a problem with my arm. Y'all would never know this if I didn't tell you. I cannot straighten this arm. And that accident that I had when I was 19, y'all know from the summer, the accident where I almost died, I destroyed my elbow completely. And this is all metal at this point. I cannot straighten my arm. It's actually at a very good angle for my jump shot, but it limits me with my shot blocking. Like when I was younger, I was a really good shot blocker. I could jump and with timing, I could get up there and really like block, but I can't do it with both hands anymore because this arm is not straightened out. So I'm already even coming in as almost a one-armed old man, and I'll still beat some motherfuckers' asses. Trust me. Yeah. Top of top saying, I've seen Pencer's clips. It's constructive criticism. Being positive is good, but not to the point of delusion, just as being overly critical isn't good. There should be a happy medium. I agree with this. And some may argue that I am way too positive and I'm being delusional. And I am delusional to a degree. I'm okay with that. But I want to believe and I want to be optimistic to a degree. But I am also able to be constructively criticizing the team also. Now, I am usually going to side with them and be on their side. But this is true. There needs to be a balance. And people don't, I know it may turn people off that I am way too positive. But it may be that partly that they're just very negative mindseted person themselves. And they don't like seeing so much positivity about the team. Well, I want to do this because I feel like in some ways I counterbalance the aggregate of the whole of Raptors Nation being very negative on that side. I'll overdo the positive and being delusional in that way, partly just to counterbalance how negative and how much they're sewering down. But this is very true that there needs to be a medium. There needs to be a balance. And I'm glad to see, honestly, I am very glad to see that people are standing up for him and saying these things about it, making it fair and saying, well, look, he is constructively criticizing, but not necessarily going overstepping in some ways. That it's just a part of him. Maybe it's really about what his motives are for why he makes his content. Panser, are you making your content to try and help the Raptors to get better? Are you giving them constructive criticism in the hopes that they will take your advice and they will do better? If that is your whole reasoning, then your heart is in the right place. Now, if you're doing it just to get an ego stroke for yourself and say, oh, I'm right. This is like, wow, I'm so right. They're going to suck and they're not going to make the playoffs. Then fuck you. That's the way. That's the difference. It's like if you're constructively being criticizing them, and it's from a good place in your heart for them to get better, then I love you. Thank you. But if you're doing it just for your own ego stroke and just to kind of like, lord over and be like, I was right, they suck, then fuck you. That's what I'll say. And that's a really important distinction to make with content makers. And I'm glad you guys are standing up for them. Seymour's got money on me also. It sounds like we need to make this happen, y'all. I don't know who it is. Maybe I'll play Freddie Rivas. Maybe I should play Skip. Maybe I should go down there and play Beanpole Skip and kick his motherfucking ass. I'd really get up for a game against Skip. Now, he's got height, too. He's pretty tall, too, like me. But I think I've got the muscle on him. I'd probably be able to back him down. Daddy Gates is here. Good to see Daddy Gates. It's been a bit. Matt's mind is always in the gutter. Matt Devlin. Yeah, it seems like Matt Devlin, you wilding out, man. Matt Devlin, woo. Although, listen, phrasing is important. It's important to Scottie on his stream, on his Twitch stream. Sometimes phrasing is very much called out, and he doesn't like saying "get back on D." If you tell Scottie to get back on D, he's going to think you mean the D that Matt Devlin may be thinking, and what Daddy Gates is saying there. So don't ever say "get back on D" to Scottie because you're like, I'm not getting on no fucking D, is what he's going to say. Because they take it literally. He takes that word D literally. It's like in Scottie's world, you cannot just be lazy and short form at D. You better say defense. You better say the whole word defense, because he will get mad. He will get mad at you in the Twitch stream. And that's because phrasing. Mine's in a gutter. Archer. All that shit from that show Archer. It's like phrasing. Like remind him. Oh, my hand's not free because my other hand's underneath doing something. Whoa, phrasing, Alvin Williams. What are you talking about doing something under the table? Woo, I think not only Matt's mind is in the gutter. A lot of the viewers' minds were in the gutter at that moment also. Forgetful is saying the Tucker Carlson wannabe is not named Pensare. It's a pretentious use of an Italian word meaning to think. Okay, good to know. And Nameless is saying, you get Lex down low versus Pensare, shimmy and shaking. It's over. Oh, my God. Raptors have way more missing than Miami. PASCAL over Bam and Hero. I like that. I like that thinking. I don't know if they both add up to it. I would say PASCAL and Gary over Bam and Hero for sure. Let's put two versus two. I don't know. 2-on-1. It's not very fair to Miami. And listen, I don't want to totally give my scout report away, but there will be very much a backing with my butt. A bam, 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 and then wham is what's going to be happening. Oh, yeah, and I won't even use that rhythm every time. Maybe I'll do a bam, wham, or maybe I'll do a bam, 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 wham, or something like that. Yeah, I'll keep them guessing. That's right. You won't know how to stop me. Seymour saying Miami is a retirement club, just too old. One hit pointer away from missing the big dance. Whoa, Seymour. Yeah, you were really pushing that narrative on Raptors tonight last night that they're aged. And I agreed with you. Miami, I knew they were going to be a little more aged this year. I mean, Kyle just looks old. In fact, Fred said that last night. He's like, damn, I couldn't believe how good Kyle was playing last night. I thought he was too old 3 years ago. That's what Fred said in his interview last night. I couldn't believe he said that. He called him out like that in the middle, but they're friends. He can get away with this. He said Fred said that he thought Lowry was too old 3 years ago. Freddie. Golden interview last night. Seriously, if you have not seen Fred's post-game interview last night, watch it. It's just fun. Line Hunter saying it's not really constructive criticism to consistently claim we would be better without PASCAL and Fred. Laugh out loud. Okay, we got another counterpoint in this. And you know what? I'm going to lean more towards on this side. If he is pushing a narrative that we need to get rid of Fred or PASCAL for some reason, he needs to shut the fuck up. Because that is really bad kind of narrative to push in our nation, because it's not building towards getting us another championship. I'm going to tell you right now, those two guys are very important for us to get our second NBA championship. They need to be involved and they need to stay here. And anybody who thinks that we can just cast them aside because of the emergence of people like OG or Scottie, you're fucking crazy. That these dudes know how to get championships, and they did get a championship. And we need to keep that kind of element around our team as long as possible, because they're a huge part of that culture. And yeah, okay, well, if Lion Hunter's saying that, I definitely don't agree with that. So if there's an agenda on his channel to get rid of PASCAL or Fred, then that's a big no-no with me, and it will instantly turn me off from the channel, because I don't agree with that. I think that that's a folly, and anybody who's pushing that kind of idea more and more in our fan nation needs to shut the fuck up, because there's already enough idiots on Twitter saying that. We don't need a content provider doing the same thing. So I'm with you on that one, Lion. I mean, I really am glad you guys are sticking up for him, but if that is one of his agendas on his channel, fuck him. I'm not about that. I protect Fred and PASCAL. They should be Raptors. And that's how I feel. Duke saying, ironically, PJ is stinking up the joint in Philly. It could be that Miami kind of realized, it's like, we got all these old dudes on our team, like Seymour's saying, and PJ's just another one of them. So we could let him go. It's like, and it may be that PJ's that milk that just expired. Like, you look at the carton and it says, oh, November 2022. That's PJ's carton. Oh, crap. Maybe his career is just done. He's got a certain age. He's been around forever. I think we drafted him in like 2007 or something. So it's like, listen, it could be like these guys just spoil like milk at a certain point. Ooh, this doesn't smell right. It's like a little chunky. Ooh, it could be that. And maybe Miami knew that. And that's why they were like, okay, we can't keep PJ because we're looking too old overall. And maybe we want to look more young by having more of our young guys coming up. We'll keep Lowry and Butler because they're the old heads we really like having around. And we'll let PJ walk. And he goes to Philadelphia. Now all of a sudden he looks old. This is the NBA, baby. Duke saying, I was thinking the same thing about Khem. It seems Nick Nurse knows exactly when to put Birch in to change the tide. Yeah, he's just such a calming force. Like these older players on our team give different kind of calming forces. Whether it's Thaddeus with just his capability and calming things down, really smart decisions. I mean, Thad's so good with the refs. I think that may have been a part of the factoring in what happened last night with the calls, is that our guys are politicking with them, and we have a counterbalance to guys like Jimmy and Kyle who have a lot of time with these referees. Obviously, Kyle has relationships with refs, good and bad. And then we have Thaddeus on our side and Fred. And these guys are really kind of our guys politicking on our side. And they may have a little bit more get further with the referees because of their demeanor and the way they talk to them. That they really listen. Maybe they talk to them in a very human way. Maybe they're not yelling at them. Maybe they're not like being, rude to them. Whereas maybe Kyle's being rude to them, like saying, what the fuck is that? You know this? I'm Kyle Lowry. How you call me for a travel? Meanwhile, Thad may be coming to him and is like, listen, I understand that we're not getting the call here, but why are they getting the call at this end? I want y'all to just be fair. Just do your job and stuff like that. It could very well be the bedside manner of the players with the refs was a factor in whether the refs will screw over this team more or this team more by the end of the game. That Kyle may rub them the wrong way. And they'll be like, that's such a nice young man for a vet, 16-year vet. He's just so nice. I want to help the Raptors because that's just cool. And Fred, what a conscientious, nice, genuine young man. Let's help them out. Michael Smith may be thinking that, being in the league for so long. But that Lowry, boy, is he a hothead. I wondered about that kind of stuff in the game because Thaddeus was talking a lot to the refs last night. And his factor in doing that kind of stuff is so important. Now, getting back to your original point with Khem, it does seem like he knows exactly a little window of time to insert Khem to make the game change in subtle ways. And a lot of it has to do with our defensive presence and sealing the around the basket off from the other team from scoring. That if it's like kind of like if Nick's like, oh man, they're scoring too easy in the paint. I don't like how easy they're getting to the basket. Well, let's get Khem in there. And he can really kind of shut the water at the ground level right near the basket, right next to the spigot. So that's part of what Khem brings is his presence on the court. Is maybe he's the catalyst to start the seal of the defense that happens in the third quarter with everybody like them not scoring for 8 minutes straight because our defense is stopping them. So yeah, it is a very calculated move to put Khem Birch in and the effect that what he does. Nameless is saying it's kind of hard for me to hate the Heat when their coaching and staff and players show so much respect to Toronto. Yes. Yes. No, I agree to this, Nameless. I mean, it's really weird. There's a lot of mutual respect between our two franchises because we are similar in a lot of ways. I really think that there's an echelon in the NBA of 3 franchises in particular that are very well run, have good culture, and they have a certain kind of thing about them. And it's us, them, and the Warriors. Those 3 franchises are just the creme de la creme in certain ways. They have amazing coaches that are just awesome. They've got good management that are really committed to winning. They have a certain kind of like air to them of prestige, equality to their teams. And I think that we're 3 teams that are in a class above the rest. Not only that, we're champion teams too. We've all of our franchises have won championships. So that I really look at the 3 like that. And I really like Eric Spoelstra. I want to hate him, but in some ways he's so complimentary about us that I can't. And but I did say yesterday, I hate most of the Heat. I love Lowry, I love Butler, and I love Spoelstra. But the rest of them could go fuck themselves. It's basically kind of where I'm at. The whole rest of the team can go fuck themselves, and they're fans. But if there's 3 people I really like, it's Spoelstra, Lowry, and Butler. The rest of them go fuck themselves. Oladipo's not bad. I just feel bad for him. He's always hurt. Mike says I'm seem committed. Well, I definitely for sure am, Mike. Oh yeah. I'll be around. Don't worry. I'll be around. Hopefully. God willing, I'll be around for a long time. And, hopefully we'll have a bunch of championships in the next 10 years and we'll see this whole journey together. Monique's saying, I'm on Twitter, but hardly use it, doing life with Raptors anyway. Yeah, just avoid it. Monique, there's no reason for you to go to Twitter. Honestly, it's just such a cesspool. Nameless is saying, today when I'm determining my rolling offsets for copper pipe, I'm going to do it with Toronto Raptors excellence. I love this. Yes. So you're applying it. Okay. You're a plumber. So you literally are doing like the job that I'm talking about that OG's a plumber. Well, you know what? You need to drop some vernacular from your trade to really describe some of the stuff the Raptors are doing. Like I want to see a comment from Nameless describing the 8-minute drought for the Miami Heat last night with a real context from plumbing's terms. Like tell me exactly what joint and wrench they used to cut their water off last night. I want to really get detailed with these plumbing analogies with what we're using on this channel today. And if you're a real plumber, I love it. But yeah, use that Toronto Raptors level of excellence in everything that you do at your job today and honor them. I do this in my own life. I think about this like during the day. I'll work out. I'll be like, I'm going to work out hard today, just like the Raptors would. And I'm putting that energy out there like the Raptors would. And when I used to work jobs like labor jobs, I would do that on game days. I'd be like, I'm putting in work in my own job to add to that energy and that hard blue collar work mentality of the Raptors in their world. That I want to put this in the ether. My work that I'm putting in is going into their bank and their hard work and their mentality and their culture too. So yeah, this is awesome. I love to see that you're plumbing in real life with the Raptors mentality. I love it. Cool Cat saying team won't let you know what is ailing them. Opponents would target them and make the injury worse. We saw that in Scottie in the playoffs. Fred VanVleet's back is still ailing him. Can't bend in the game either. You know what? You're probably right. I mean, this is something like in the championship run. We didn't know how hurt Kyle was during the whole championship run. He really was hurt way bad. They kept it very secret. And this may be true. But Scottie's just lying to us and they don't want to tell them. Well, all right. We may find out later. Maybe we'll get on Twitch and ask him like today. Maybe he'll get on Twitch today and we'll just straight up ask him, Scottie, you lying about your ankle? Because we don't totally believe you. I know you said last night there's nothing wrong with it, but really, are you lying? We're Twitch family. You can tell us the truth. Come on, please tell us the truth. We'll have to see. Cool Cat, I know you'll be there if he's there. Nameless is saying that was a beast last night. Koloko was hovering around the I don't even know what you said that. Why did you put that word in there? That is weird. I'm not going to say that. That just sounds bad. That is horrible phrasing right there. Nameless. Y'all can read what Nameless wrote in there. I'm not going to read that. But yeah, I don't know if that's spelled correct or you just trying to be funny. Koloko was around the rim and he did dunk it. Wait, is that what you're trying to do there? Because I just said the rim. Oh, man. All right, we're getting away from this. You're like thinking like Matt Devlin right now. Nameless. Let's just put it that way. He's saying that is the bread and butter guy. Who we need a point. Throw the ball to him in the post. I love how much he values the fundamentals and playing the game correctly. Yeah, I just love like seeing the shades of Gasol in him in the high post with this passing. It's just such a familiar thing, and I just love it. I used to love. It's really joyous to watch a big man operate in the high post like Sabonis, original Sabonis, not his son Arvidas. Like that kind of passing big man at the top of the key and the cool things that can happen from that. For some reason, it's really appealing and fun to watch because you're used to little guys having really good passing skills. But when you see a big guy like Marc Gasol or Thad Young doing those kind of passes, you're like, wow, that's really cool and really impressive. And I am really enjoying this. Like he really is a glue guy. Like Scottie's a glue guy in a certain way, but Thad's a glue guy also. And I really like him in the starting lineup. I really, really do. If we can figure out how to keep him in the starting lineup, even when the guys are all healthy, I'd be all about that. But I don't know if Nick will do that. I don't know if he will. Monique's saying, just a reminder, guys, the Raptors live show is December the 12th with William Liu, Alex Wong, and Chris Boucher. You guys can go and be there in person and see the fun chemistry between Will Liu and Chris Boucher and him apologizing and kissing Chris Boucher's ass even more so. And since then, because of him being out of pocket and talking trash and not realizing Chris Boucher is one of the very few 100 people that can play in the NBA at the level that he does. There's not very many people that can do what he does. And that's what Chris reminded William Liu of. And when they finally met face to face, you need to realize, Will Liu, and put some respect on me that what I'm doing and the level I'm doing it is very, very hard. And there will be success and failure. And you are nowhere near my level, brother. So you need to just stop criticizing. And I want to see more of that in live and in person at the Raptor show on December the 12th. Setting Will Liu straight. Yeah. Dizzy David is here. Not going to lie, my favorite part of the game is the hugs all around after the game, especially last night watching Kyle showing love to the fans, the Raptors, and Masai. Yeah, it was so cool after the game to see Kyle like lingering in the entryway, hitting every single one of those fans with high fives, hugs. There was somebody near the entryway that was a friend of his. Obviously, he was very happy to see because he was bowing to the dude. He was kind of going like this to the dude right near the entryway. No, it was really cool to see how much Kyle really loves us. And listen, this is so good because in some ways, what Kyle is with our Raptors fan nation after he left is really good because of the things that happened with DeMar. That in some ways, us treating Kyle this way is really good for DeMar because they're best friends and he understands and he sees his adoration that Kyle gets and he gets also himself. But it does kind of heal some wounds and it does help DeMar be feeling more like a part of our Raptors culture still. That he sees from the outside how much we celebrate and love his best friend, that he knows that he gets that too. And this is all very important because these two dudes need their jerseys retired up in the rafters at Scotiabank Arena when they are done playing. They do need to have their jerseys up there, and they will. We know they will. There'll be a 7 and a 10 up there. And, oh, man, I'll be so – but, yeah, I love seeing all that too because it really is like – it's not totally common in sports today that sometimes, you know, when business of sports, things happen and there's bad feelings after things. And it's not always easy to keep the great feelings in the relationship between a team and a player when they're getting traded or something happens. And we really did a good job securing and protecting that bond with him. Yeah. Nameless is saying, yeah, Koloko hovering around yeah. Why are you saying that? I'm not going to, I'm not going to read that word. I think that's a banned word on this channel. It just sounds bad. It just sounds really bad. Let's see. Mike's saying the Scottie mold 5-in-1 being all our molds done with one player all the same time to build the ultimate superstar, the superstar mold. Yeah, I don't think anyone has put that one together yet. Not gonna lie. Yeah, we're just very amorphous. We're not in categories. Stop doing that. We just play basketball. That's what we do. We make winning plays. It doesn't matter who the player is. It's interchangeable, and nobody has a defined role. Everybody can do a little bit of everything. And that really is where the Raptors are at this point. We don't have role players. We don't have necessarily certain kinds of like designations of this is this person's this job, this job. Everybody's doing every job, and everybody steps up to do the different jobs as needed in different places. And this is really the way we're operating right now. He was saying, I didn't even know that Shy coming to Toronto was for Fred was a conversation. I just wanted some insight regarding that. I didn't know it would cause such much outrage. It's all good. No, this has been going on for a couple months since the summer. People, some Raptors fans have just really have their heart set on getting SGA in a Raptors jersey, and we just want this talk to die. We look so desperate and thirsty. These people, oh, we want SGA so bad, and Oklahoma City fans are getting annoyed with us because they like their player and they want him to stay on their team. And it's just like how we feel about Scottie. So let's stop coveting other players on other teams. Like I said before, Bobby Webster is the only person who decides who's on our team, and we just need to trust in Bobby. And when Bobby brings somebody, puts them on the court for our team, then we start loving them and having them on our team. And not until then. We don't get ahead of ourselves with Kevin Durant or SGA or whoever. They're not in our roster. They're not in our uniform. Then we don't get ahead of ourselves. It's not until Bobby does it officially and they're on the ground running with us, then I'll start talking about them, because I don't even like talking about all this trade speculation. It's stupid. It's all a bunch of hot air. Once again, it's fan fiction. And it's Central Perk orgies is basically what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Monique's saying news and notes, episode 2 with CJ podcast, Yahoo Sports coming soon. Now you can ask him questions. That's awesome. So check out CJ Miles' new podcast. It's cool that he's back around Raptors fan nation and being involved in stuff. I'm sure he's finding so much fun in that, because he is kind of celebrated up here. I don't know how celebrated he is in Utah or in other teams that he played in his NBA career, but at least here we remember him and he's special to us. And that's awesome. I love that. Let's see. Nameless is saying great comparison, Morant and SGA. They're just similar. They look similar, and I would get them confused early in their careers. I really would. And it's crazy how both of them are really taking off, literally taking off. They both take off. Nameless is saying, I got a passion for men's fragrances. Should go see the archive. Yeah, he does. He has a passion for men's fragrances. That's phrasing too, right there. I know. But, Precious is just being Precious. Let Precious be himself, man. He has such a cool style. Honestly, I love his style and the way he thinks. He said he used to make fun of his dad for wearing baggy pants, and now he's wearing baggy pants. Well, isn't that the classic thing that you're always worried, like your dad's so uncool, you're never going to be as uncool as him, and then all of a sudden you get older and you realize you're just as uncool as he was. Let's see. Duke saying, watching Gomez on the floor, Hernan Gomez, I cringe sometimes. Boy looks out of control. Might be rust, though. He better start hitting those threes. Interesting that Nurse gave him 20-plus minutes and Koloko 12 minutes. Well, you know what? He was just moving so well on the court. Like, he was a blur. He was everywhere. He was putting so much effort. And he didn't score any points, but that obviously did a lot of things right because Nick kept him on the court. That is an indicator of whether somebody's doing something good. Is how many minutes they played. He didn't even play Malachi last night at all. And Wancho got 23 minutes last night. That's very interesting to me. And Koloko, I mean, listen, I want him to be in little bits and pieces. Like, he's not somebody that should be playing like 30 minutes. Even like 25 minutes may be pushing it. Like 10 to 20 minutes, 25 minutes at the most for Koloko is probably right. And he was okay to start for a little while, give him that taste. But there is some unsurety that he brings to the starting lineup that Thad Young in his place completely covers up and makes it better, as far as like this difference between a 16-year vet and a guy who's only played like a dozen games in his career so far. So about a dozen games. So that's a big switch in that. We're not as shaky. And we saw shakiness in our starting lineup against Oklahoma City that kind of set the tone and made us lose in some ways. And that's probably part of the reason why Koloko got yanked from the starting lineup in the last few games and for that. So Let's see. Mike saying something Lex helped me see. Some battles are best left unfought. Exactly. There's no reason for us to take up the mantle against every single challenge that comes up against us, because a lot of those times it's not even worth it, and you may end up making yourself look worse than actually getting your point across, even if you're right. Duke's saying today Siakam gravity allows others to eat. In 2 years from now, Scottie will be that man. Speaking of gravity, did y'all notice Miami was leaving Banton open? He took 6 threes and made one. Yeah, they were leaving him open, not respecting him. Well, they've got to listen, because they have the personnel that they have to double down. And really, our 3-point shooting should have been wide open, because they just don't have the size to match up with us down low. So they really have to shadow the down near the basket. So in theory, that should mean that our 3-point shooters should be more open in that situation. This may have been a game where Gary would have ate. Like, oh my gosh, if Gary had showed up and they had no Bam, and they really had to double down on us down low with OG and Scottie and people down there, that Gary may have ate very well last night. I really loved PASCAL on the bench last night. He was so animated. It was really cool to see him cheering them on and seeing him interact with Kyle, seeing him sit next to Christian. And you see the two kids from Cameroon, the same city, and you can really tell that there's a really strong bond between the two of them, the way they're goofing around and having fun during the game last night. PASCAL was just so jubilant. And I just love to see that. We missed that presence on our bench the last couple of games when those guys were away. Precious, Fred, and PASCAL were kind of away. And I just like seeing PASCAL there with the nice sweater on the bench. And Precious also being on the bench with his walking boot. And just happy to see them at the game, because I miss them. Not seeing them on the bench the last game was, to me, it was kind of sad in some ways. Edmund's here. Good to see Race Mode Daily. When and where is the Raptorfreak basketball run? I'm in. Let's go. Listen, maybe we make a team, y'all. Maybe we get the real ones like Race Mode, myself, and a couple of the other people around town that play ball, and we get a team. Sue, you can play when your knee heals up. Whoever will play. Maybe we have a Raptorfreak team, and we might be very good. Maybe we say you get your team together, Pensair. Get your people, and we show up with the Raptorfreak crew and we play them. I love that. That'd be fun. I used to run City League teams in Tallahassee, so I have experience with running just a fun team with just for fun, like getting the money together from everybody, getting jerseys, getting a sponsor, having a season and a schedule. This could be something involves too. We just got to be careful. We don't want anybody to get hurt. Some of us old heads, me especially. All right, let's see. Jam Joe's is saying cross the border and play Chev. That'd be fun. I don't know how tall Chev is. Now he probably could play some. I don't know. He needs to cross the border here. Chev needs to come to Toronto and get the experience here in Toronto. He needs to come to an NBA game in our arena and feel the Scotiabank Arena. But I'd play Chev, sure. He might kill me. I don't know how good Chev is. I don't know how tall he is, though. It may be that I do have the height advantage, but I don't know. He's definitely knows his stuff, and I would be worried about him doing fundamental stuff with me. But I don't know. We'll have to see. We would have to see in this. Me against Chev, that might be a good matchup. We'd have to see. Let's see. Mike's saying Fred's comment about watching Lowry and not the Heat was gold. With that end remark of as I can stomach. I'm not a Heat fan. I'm a Lowry fan. I love that comment so much, Mike. And it really does signify that he's a real one and he's a part of Project Truth. There's so much truth in that little bit of statements about him watching the Heat. And I love it. Duke said, I got a chuckle from that too. Yeah, it was really cool. Fred's so awesome. How could you want to trade a dude like that? Seriously, y'all are real backstabbers when you have somebody who's so real like that. He's real like DeMar was. And we stabbed DeMar in the back. Why would y'all wish that upon our guys that have put their laid it on the line, blading out the side of their head, laying on the ground in the finals, Fred VanVleet. And you want to stab him in the back like that. This is a man who can barely watch Miami Heat games because he hates them so much. Come on, y'all. He's a real one. We need to keep him here. Yeah, I love that. I love that so much. And Mike, you like what I'm saying about contact motives? Yeah, really search your motives. I really like that you've made a mission statement. That can really organize what you're all about with your content, because people want that. They want to know what Professor Rock is up to. Well, he's trying to preserve the history of music so that people remember the stories about rock and roll and music. And that's his whole aim and his goal. You have your mission statement of what you're trying to do. I have my mission statement of what I'm trying to do on this channel. And that makes it more easy to follow because, oh, well, this is what this dude's all about, being a positive Raptors fan that interacts with people on a live stream every morning. And, your bread and butter is being informative and helping us see trends and understanding things that are going on with the team. And I really like that you've done this kind of work recently because it will really inform your work and it'll be better. It'll be better because you'll understand what you're doing more and have more of directives and goals in what you're doing. And that's really awesome. Let's see what else. Monique saying, W stream Lex. Gladly, me and Sue can start it off for you. Keep them coming. Go Raptors. Almost 600 videos now. Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going. Like they're gonna add up if I'm gonna do them every day. They're gonna add up quick. I want to get to 10,000 streams at some point. Look out, we're gonna get there. Duke's saying he doesn't have an agenda to get rid of PASCAL or Fred. He brought up top 5 comment and stating based on statistical and analytics, he doesn't see PASCAL as a top tier player. Well, see, I could argue that. I mean, he could have maybe said that argument last year, but I don't think he can say it this year. The proof is in the pudding. We've seen what PASCAL's doing and stuff. So I don't know. Without having heard him directly, I can see that both sides are kind of saying both things. And once again, I just wish them the best. Keep going with your content. If you can be more positive and be more thinking about your mission statement, Pensair, and what you're trying to do with your channel, maybe it'll really inform what your goals are also. And the same thing as what we're just talking about with Mike. So it's really good to get organized and figure that out. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish with your channel? Are you trying to help them win more Larry O'Briens like I am? That's what you should think about. Then maybe you're not. Maybe I just want to be an informed, unbiased source of basketball knowledge for this on this subject. Okay, well then do that. Walk that line and be that. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Duke's saying, and he believes Barnes does have the potential over PASCAL. Okay. Fred has mentioned the passing, which I see as well, and the positionless aspect of the Raps. Never said the Raps don't need Fred. Okay. Well, it may be that people are misconstruing what he's saying in different ways, and it could be. I don't know. I don't want to delve too deep into this, but I am very firmly in the camp of no, we don't get rid of those guys. And, I can understand the point that he's trying to make that maybe Scottie's ceiling's higher than PASCAL, but that may not be true. In fact, one of the things I'm noticing in the trends recently is Scottie may not be the superstar kind of player that takes over games and just wins games. He may just be like this glue kind of guy. Like a guy, like in some ways, I think of Scottie as being more like Jason Kidd than like Luka Doncic. That he's not really the kind of guy that kind of takes over and does superstar stuff. He just does a lot of really good things all around throughout the whole game, like glue kind of meat and potato things. But he may not be the guy that they give the ball in the fourth quarter to take over the game and score baskets to win. Now, he may be able to do this, and I may be completely wrong that he may develop into this. But what if Delano is more that guy? Because it really does seem like he's set up to be that guy, and he's already doing it on a certain level already. And he's had a lot of success. It may be that some guys just have different like skills, just like in NBA 2K, they have different badges. And that it may be that Delano has a closer badge of like closing the game out and being the scorer to try and help win, whereas Scottie has more of a glue guy badge consistently throughout the whole game. That he may be more like a Jason Kidd than like a Luka. That's what I'm saying. There's a difference between like being a glue guy and being a guy who takes over the game and wins the game for you at the end. And Scottie may not be that second one. He may be just the glue guy who does a lot of good things all throughout the meat of the game, but he's not the guy they're depending on to make the big shot at the end of the game to win it. Whereas maybe Delano is, because he's shown that on 905, America, Summer League, and in the game this week in Detroit. So that may be part of it, is that the badges that they have as players are not the NBA 2K23 badges in the game are just that's the badges they got. The Scottie may not have that closer badge that we're talking about. And maybe PASCAL does. I don't know. See, that's part of what we're trying to suss out with Scottie and his identity as a basketball player. Is he going to be that kind of superstar that carries you home? Or is he just a bread and butter kind of all-around great triple-double kind of guy like Jason Kidd? And that's not always the dude who's the superstar who does that. So it's a different kind of roles. in some ways. And I think Delano's more naturally that than Fred is. I mean, not Fred, Scottie. Fred's definitely a closer. He's definitely a closer, but I don't know if Scottie's a closer. That's what I'm saying. Van Hoot saying new OVO sweater for the Raps crossover looks fire, but I'm not feeling the city jerseys this year. Yeah, they're very subdued. They're very low key. And, it is what it is. They're all money grabs anyway. I feel bad for the poor soul that it says, I'm going to collect every single Raptor jersey they ever make. And they've got to buy like so many jerseys every year because there's so many jerseys. Duke saying he has a high level of basketball IQ and he has said he can be wrong. I see him as a person being honest with what he believes. I don't always agree with his takes, but he does give you food for thought. Awesome. Well, Duke gets something out of his content, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I don't want to be this place. One of the things that was developing early this week that I didn't like was it started to seem like it was becoming like a me versus Pansera thing. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to be versus other content makers. We're a family. We all do our own thing. Some toxic content makers are out there. Well, we just don't give them attention. Let's not put them on blast. So maybe in some ways, us talking so much about Pansera this week is actually very good for him because he's getting some publicity. And maybe some of the Raptor freaks that have been here who have not checked him out will go check him out because we're talking about him so much. I wish him well. And as long as he's being responsible and he's a positive force in the Raptors content community, I have no problem with him. But if he's like one of these jackasses that are doing stuff and some of the things we've described, yeah, fuck them is what I'll say. Mike saying, see, the theory isn't understood yet. Not gonna lie. I did one of the 5 mold in Boucher, but it's Lowry, Fred VanVleet, Kawhi, Siakam, Gasol, Boucher, all in one guy. That's smart enough, and he has the tools to do it, to build that. You're talking about Scottie, I'm guessing. All right, I'm going to start trying to finish up because I'm over 3 hours. Duke Rocks is saying the problem here is people are quick to judge, quick to anger, slow to understand. Neil Peart, man, Duke is always infusing some cool ass classic rock something. You know, those lyrics that Rush wrote were so deep. You can go read some Rush lyrics and you may figure out some of the keys and the mysteries of life. And this is so true that I thank you so much for quoting such an amazing person as Neil Peart. We love Neil Peart so much on this channel. And that is so good. That's such a great quote and so apropos for this phenomena with the Raptors fans and how quick they are to judge. It's so crazy. Mike saying Scottie will be a Frankenstein freak with parts of all those guys and play styles similar when swapping through roles. Yeah, he's a shapeshifter. He can do so much. He can look like Magic at times. He can look like Kawhi at times. He can look like Giannis at times. He can look like Kareem at times. He can look like Dirk Nowitzki at times. He can look like a lot of different guys. That's why I call him the old school jukebox. It's like I've seen him do that dribble between his legs, what he's doing these days. And I'm like, that's Earl the Pearl Monroe. And I'm like, bro, you're like a jukebox. Let's like put in the dime. I want to see a Kawhi move. Okay, there's Scottie does a little Kawhi low post move. Let's see that Dirk Nowitzki little hop jump at the top of the free throw line in the corner. Oh, you went that little shot that Dirk used to do? Yeah, I can do that too. He's an old school jukebox. That's what he is. You put in the coin, you want the player, he can play it. Oh, Kareem, little baby high sky hook. Woo! Is it Kareem or is it Magic? Oh, you don't know. The second game he ever played in Boston, he hit that little baby hook running across the lane as an homage to Irvin Johnson. Somebody he's looked up to as a kid and plays very similar to. He did that in that game against Boston in Udoka's home debut as the Boston Celtics coach, where we routed them and took that victory away from them. Scottie did the little Irvin Johnson baby hook through the lane that he did to the Celtics on their own court years and years ago. He's an old school jukebox, and I love it. I love it so much. Duke saying, I agree, Van Hoot. Don't want to go back and forth, but that's not what I'm hearing when I listen to him. Okay. Well, it's cool. Let's be fair about this. And y'all, if you want to support Pansera, go watch his stuff. I will not hate you or be against you for that. It's totally good. That's the big picture idea that my content is working too. And there's a lot before I get to drop the Scottie recipe video. But no worries, Lex. One day people will see. It's coming. You all are warned by Logical Raptors fanatic. Mike is making something big, y'all. Patrick Douglas saying, I am back. Car satellite shaky. Raptor Freaks, our team is real and the bench is good. Yeah, I like that, Patrick. And saying, teach, Lex, teach. A team does not have players doing the same thing. Different skill set is needed, different roles. Explain to the not so bright. Yeah, let's not pigeonhole these guys. It's like, oh, I heard you're a shooting guard, Fred. Well, can you still play point guard? Yeah, you damn for sure can with those lobs and the way you're passing and stuff. So it's like, let's get rid of the labels. Let's get rid of all this kind of stuff. Sure, Khem is pretty much a center. We can say that. But a lot of these guys are playing all over the place as far as their position. Van Hoos saying, Lex, Barnes is 21-year-old Rookie of the Year winner. Delano hasn't shown consistency, which is why he hasn't been in closing lineups consistently. Pump the brakes, putting a ceiling on him. Barnes won gold with a U.S. under 19 team. Well, all right. Let me explain my perspective a little more clearly, because I don't think you're exactly hearing what I'm saying exactly. What I'm saying is there's different types of players in this league. And sure, I'm not saying that Scottie won't have this. He may very well have this. And I hope he does. I want him to have this. But it doesn't seem like it's naturally happening. What I'm trying to say is Delano, at every level that he's played, he shows this natural instinct to take over the game. And he's had a lot of success practicing this in the last year at the 905 level. That there were so many times with the 905 games last year that he was the guy who carried water and did the PASCAL kind of stuff in practice at that level, that he's more well-informed to do this than Scottie at this point in their careers. The Scottie hasn't had enough practice taking over games and being the man that Delano has. And he did it at AmeriCup also. He did it at Summer League also. And Scottie didn't even do it in college either. He came off the bench, and he wasn't really the guy that had that responsibility, that kind of stuff on his broad shoulders. And it may very well be that his ceiling does include this as he gets better and better. It's just that right now he doesn't have it. Obviously, if he did, he would be doing it in these games with these guys absent, that he would be stepping up and taking that onus to carry us to the win at the end. So that's really kind of the difference I'm making is that Delano has way more experience in practice in theory doing it. And he showed it in Detroit on the big league level in the game on Detroit. He was absolutely the guy that took us home to the win on Monday night. And that's why I'm saying the distinction is, I'm not saying that Scottie's a worse player than Delano. I'm just saying that their skill set. And then in the NBA 2K23 world, they have badges. Like sometimes you have like a lock defender, 3-point specialist, different badges. And that one of the badges that Delano may naturally already have is closer, finisher, scorer to help us win the game and take the scoring load to carry us home. And Scottie just hasn't risen to the occasion yet. It may be that he does eventually. But that's what I'm saying is the Delano has more practice and he's had more success, and he looks like it just comes naturally to him. Whereas Scottie, it kind of seems like that doesn't totally come naturally to him. And that may be the distinction that I'm trying to make, that is stuff. But Scottie has done it at Olympics under 19 league. He did it in high school, maybe he did it in middle school, but he didn't do it at FSU. And he hasn't done it for a team last year or this year so far. He's not the dude who's absolutely carrying water right at the end of the game to close it out, to get the points that we need in clutch time. That's what I'm saying. Let's see. Monique's saying this stretch of open gym will be great with this great mini win streak that we have had here. Yeah, that'll be fun. I want to see the open gym treatment on the highs and lows of what we've gone through. It'll be a little depressing, the Indiana game and the Oklahoma City game, but it'll be fun. They'll come out tomorrow. Yeah, Friday is the day they drop them. Duke's saying the song by Rush is called Witch Hunt. Highly recommend checking out those lyrics. Witch Hunt, even Tom Sawyer. You can say, like, there's so much. What is it? The song where you still have made the choice. There's so deep meaning in the lyrics of Rush. Very intelligent, nerdy kind of rock that is just so deep and so amazing. And I love it so much. Rush is one of my favorite bands of all time. Okay, Van Hoot saying, I heard you. I fully understand. 21-year-old Rookie of the Year. David Thorpe discussed this in the interview. He's a we guy, not a me guy. And when they switch flips, it's dangerous. Too early for ceilings. That is it and all. Yeah, well, I think we agree on this. It's really just what's been produced so far. I totally agree with Scottie. I think the sky's the limit. And I hope he can become everything and anything that he could possibly be as an NBA player. It's just I'm going by what's already been shown. And man, you guys are keep talking about David Thorpe on the Raptors show. I'm definitely going to have to listen to that interview and see what he's saying. But yeah, he's young too. And part of it is that they don't want to put too much pressure on him in this way. That, they don't want him to be leaned on completely at the end of the game and have like a really big and important shot or moment and have him fail, because that may hurt his confidence. That may hurt the way that fans treat him or something like that. They may come after him like they have with PASCAL. So that may be part of it, is that is the issue, is that they don't want to ruin his confidence by setting him up to fail in a situation where he's not totally ready to succeed. And that may be part of why they're not going to him heavy at the end of the games, that they still want to do Fred, OG. And Delano stepped up and took that baton just because partly he's had experience doing this already. So, all right. Duke's saying Free Will. Yeah, that's the name of the song where they do that. Van Hoot's also saying, last year, remember Scottie saved us in games like the Miami game, hit game winners for FSU. The key with balance is patient and enjoying the journey. SGA is a good example that they were patient. Now at 24, oh, Lord. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So he's hit big shots near the end of games, but what I'm saying is more, it's like the kind of Freddie kind of role. Like Fred wasn't there on Monday night. And Fred kind of manages the game and controls it. And it's not always just the scoring. It's kind of like you're the dude who's kind of directing the team to land the plane on the runway for the W. And with Fred's absence on Monday, Delano stepped into that role really well and did that kind of stuff for us to make sure we won at the end of a close game with Detroit. And that's what I'm kind of more talking about. Like Scott is a good point guard. He's a good passer, but he hasn't really shown that he manages the game at the end of the game in that leadership kind of way, whether it's with the scoring or kind of doing what Fred does and what Delano did on Monday. I'm trying to make a distinction here that maybe isn't totally fair to Scott because they're not giving him that kind of responsibility yet. And it's not like I'm saying it's a diss on him. It's just something I'm noticing about Delano. This is actually me pushing up Delano and giving him big compliments, because it's so hard to impose your will on an NBA game. And if you're able to direct and do things like Fred does or Kyle Lowry does on the other side, that's really good. And it looks like Delano has those kind of skills just early on from what I've seen with his body work. OG ready? Yeah. And Patrick saying the hug Masai gave Scottie tells it all. Move on, Scottie naysayers. I don't hear you. He has his role. Yes. Yes. And I love that. I love that. We're a family. And Scottie really looks up to and respects Masai Ujiri a lot. In fact, he dares us sometimes on his Twitch. He'll say, you want me to call Masai right now? I could call him right now. And he said, you can get the phone out and call Masai right now on the Twitch if y'all really want to. And I always tell him, no, don't bug Masai. He's very busy. He's probably got so much to do right now, and we don't need to be bugging him just because some Twitch people want you to call him on the phone right now. All right, y'all, I'm going to finish things up. Let me just do a quick wrap up and try and get this at least done before 3.5 hours. The Miami Heat, they had some bright spots. If I was them, I'd be really impressed with their Jovic rookie, the way he started the game last night. None of them shot that bad. It's just they didn't have a lot of volume. The quality was really there, but they didn't have any quantity. And that's the big difference. This was a match versus quantity, and quantity won last night. And that's the Raptors, because none of them shot below 50% for the most part. Other than that rookie and Duncan Robinson, they all shot 50% or better. And they overall collective shot 55% from the field, and they still lost. That's really impressive, honestly. That is really super impressive by the Raptors to do that. Once again, Thad Young, amazing starting, 12 points, 8 rebounds, just really good glue guy, directing traffic, great vet presence, great stuff with the refs, all kinds of good things from Thaddeus. OG Anunoby, fantastic, just electric, just putting his will on the court, just doing what he wants. The ball is yours, OG. Just go take it and do whatever you want. Get those good dunks. Scottie bouncing back with a great shooting game, 9 of 14, 19 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. He may flirt more with triple doubles than with 30-point games. And we may just have to get used to that. Delano Banton was okay in the little bit of time he was out there. He didn't shoot super well. 2 of 10 from the fields, 1 of 6. Then he was hurt, 5 points. It's too bad that he got hurt. And he was the only minus out of all of our guys on the team last night. Fred didn't shoot that great, but he was really important and did some key baskets. Managing the game late was really important. 23 points for Fred, 8 assists. I like that. Boucher, fantastic off the bench. Once again, a consistent effort, another double-double, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 4 of 7 from the field. And just, I love the rebounding. I love how he draws fouls and gets the line in the rebounding battles. 9 free throws shot by Chris Boucher, fantastic. Hernan Gomez did not score, but he was a plus 17. A lot of intangibles intangibles, a lot of good stuff from him. Koloko catching 2 lobs, throwing them down. Didn't play a whole lot, but looked real solid and really efficient. And then Khem Birch, the unspoken, important, solid things that Khem Birch brings to the court are just absolutely fantastic. Great job, Raptors. Let's build on this win streak. Let's get the 3rd one in Atlanta on Saturday night. Tomorrow we'll have a freak out. Not a very long clip. I'll just come in here and freak out about something. I think you guys can maybe understand what I'm going to freak out about. I'm going to go off tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to go off tomorrow. Let's see. Nameless is saying, Robinson always seems to struggle against us, I've noticed. Well, that's what happens when you're just a tall, unathletic shooter, is that you can't be, if you're not quick enough to get to your shot open, then you're nullified. You can't actually do anything when these guys that you're playing against are bigger and stronger and faster than you. If you're only just a good shooter and you're just hanging out there, that's all he really is. And they kind of fucked up with their salary and their stuff because they paid Duncan Robinson so much. Well, now they're going to have to pay Tyler Hero some money on top of it, or Max Strus. Then how much is Max Strus worth if Duncan Robinson is worth that much? You might have priced yourself out a little bit with Max Strus since you paid Duncan so much, considering how much he gives. All right, Monique, and you're saying, we're ready for you, Trey. You bring it, Ice Trey. You come on now with your McDonald's colors. You come on now. We're going to beat you on Saturday night in Atlanta at I don't even know what the arena they play in at this point. I was going to say the Omni. We're going to come to the Omni and we're going to beat you, Hawks. Yeah, we're coming to the Omni. They had the Omni in the 80s when Dominique was there. I don't think it's been the Omni for a long time, and that just shows how old I am. All right, y'all, have a great day. Please like, comment, subscribe. Subscribing is the best possible way you can support my channel. I'm on the quest for 1,000. We're over halfway there. And if you saw where I started, you'd be very impressed with how I've gotten there. All right, y'all, have a great Thursday, and be kind and be nice to each other. Think the best and, turn the other cheek. Sometimes it's not best to be right. Sometimes it's just best to be gentle and kind. And that is sometimes the choice we have to make. Do you want to really be right and hurt somebody's feelings? Or do you want to just hold your tongue and be a bigger, better human in life? Because sometimes that's the best way to be. All right, y'all, have a great day. And let's go Raptors. I'm so proud of y'all. We got the rubber match against the Miami Heat. And Alvin Williams, keep your hands above the table. Let's go Raptors!